Chapter 4592 Brother Longchen. When Longchen walked into the passage, he stumbled and almost fell to the ground. Lei Linger and Hua Linger hurriedly helped Longchen, and their faces were full of concern. "It's all right. I just didn't expect that the consumption would be so terrible by using the purgatory eye this time." Dragon Dust motioned that it didn't matter. What surprised Longchen was that he had reservations about using the purgatory eye this time. It is reasonable to say that the consumption would not be so huge, but now there is an overdraft phenomenon. Is it because of him? Longchen suddenly thought of his heart devil. Without the heart devil, he always felt something wrong, especially when he used the purgatory eye. He always felt that he couldn't do what he wanted. Suddenly he missed the demons again. If there were demons, maybe he could put away the broken net directly. At this time, Longchen has a headache and looks like Venus. He didn't feel anything just now. At this time, he withdrew from the combat state, and bursts of fatigue hit, making him become a gangster and heavy. Longchen doesn't dare to show his weakness. Although he has left the nest of the Ming dragon family, he still needs to go through many 10,000 dragon nests to return to the white dragon family. If he shows too weakness, he may be watched by others. When someone didn't let them pass just now, Longchen gave them a fat beating. It would be strange if they knew that Longchen had lost his combat power. Longchen bit his teeth and pretended to be nothing. Lei Linger and Hua Linger protected him around, so he passed through the 10,000 dragon nests one after another. When the dragon dust passed through these 10,000 dragon nests again, the dragon dust found that the strong here were full of vigilance towards him, and even some people secretly held the weapon, and the hand holding the weapon was still shaking. What Longchen didn't expect was that they were more nervous than Longchen. Longchen suddenly understood that it must be those who watched the battle and passed the battle situation of the Ming dragon family to their own people with blood magic. Just now, the dragon dust almost destroyed the Ming dragon family. Except that the Ming dragon Tianzhao hid in the ancestral scale space, none of the others lived. This is almost a means of exterminating the family. It is rare even in the history of the dragon family. Can they not be afraid? You know, the dark dragon Tianzhao has been listed in the top 10 or even the top 5 Tianzhao in the dragon domain. The dark dragon family has accumulated countless years and gathered all the elites together with unprecedented momentum. They claim to subdue the emperor's ancestral scales and unify the dragon domain. As a result, such a powerful team was almost destroyed by one person, and no one was shocked. Therefore, when they saw dragon dust, they felt that dragon dust was accompanied by the gas of dragon curse, and their faces changed. The so-called dragon curse gas is the curse gas formed after the strong dragon people are killed, which will be blessed on the people who kill them. The resentment of Longchen is so strong that it is frightening, especially for the strong of the dragon family. Therefore, when they see Longchen, they are more nervous than Longchen. Especially those who were beaten by the dragon dust storm because they blocked the dragon dust and didn't allow him to pass. They were trembling with fear that the dragon dust came to avenge them. The most important thing is that their strongest one is communicating with Zhu Lin and is at a critical moment. They can't be disturbed. If Longchen is in trouble at this time, they can't resist at all. When the dragon dust passed through their 10,000 dragon nest, they didn't even look at them until the figure of the dragon dust disappeared. These strong dragon people immediately breathed a long sigh of relief. Some people found that they were already sweating when they didn't know. Dragon dust returned to the white dragon family's 10,000 dragon nest without fear and danger. It is still quiet and peaceful here. Obviously, the battle there did not disturb here. With the character of the white dragon family, it is estimated that even if they feel anything, they will not watch the excitement. Everyone is carrying out an extremely sacred ceremony around the white ancestral scales. When he came to the white dragon family's 10,000 dragon nest, Longchen couldn't hold on any longer. He was black, and then he was in a coma. Darkness, endless darkness. In the endless darkness, Longchen's body is falling slowly. At this time, he seems to fall into a dark abyss. The abyss has no end. He has been falling all the time. But I don't know why, in the endless darkness, Longchen can't feel any fear, but feels unusually safe. Dragon dust is like a baby in stillbirth. enjoying the nourishment of the whole world. No one can hurt him here. Dragon Dust's body fell slowly, and a pair of eyes appeared above his body silently. It was a pair of dark eyes like ink. Those eyes were cold and ruthless, like the pupils of the devil overlooking the dragon dust. But the dragon dust didn't feel it. Like a baby sleeping soundly, the dragon dust didn't move, and the eyes didn't move. They looked at the dragon dust so quietly. In the darkness, there is no light, no sound, no concept of time and space, as if everything in the world should have been swallowed up by the darkness. Suddenly, the eyes looking at the dragon dust moved, it looked into the distance, and then the eyes slowly disappeared. Great 9-star descendant, you can't sleep anymore. Just then, in the endless darkness, there came the call of the old. The dragon dust sleeping in the dark moved his eyelids. It seemed that he wanted to open his eyes, but failed. He wanted to ask, but found that he had no strength to open his mouth. Great 9-star descendant, I know you are very tired, but we don't have time to rest. You are getting closer and closer to me. At the same time, your situation is becoming more and more dangerous. Open the 8th star and cross the 9-day channel to save us. We can't hold on. Ooh, the dragon dust sat up in a moment, and the endless darkness disappeared. Instead, a glittering and white divine light enveloped him. Above the void, the white dragon lies across the sky. It is looking at the dragon dust. The dragon dust knows that this is the ancestral scale space. Thank you, Master. Dragon Dust quickly got up and thanked the white dragon. You're welcome, great descendant of the Dragon Emperor. It's our honor to help you. The voice of the white dragon is still full of humility. Long Chen suddenly looks back and sees that Bai Yingxue has also come here. He can't help but be surprised. Did she get your approval? Bai Yingxue is kind and gentle. She is easy to be liked. Seeing that she can appear in Zilin space, Long Chen is sincerely happy for her. Originally, she was not qualified to come here with her qualifications. However, because your arrival affected the cause and effect, I thought it over and over again and decided to give her an opportunity to enter the ancestral scale space. As for whether she can subdue Zhu Lin next, I can't help her. It all depends on herself. White Dragon Road. The great descendant of the Dragon Emperor, I think it's time for you to leave. The white dragon looked at the dragon dust with profound meaning. www.milovenival.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4593, Yes, my body has recovered. It's really time to leave. Dragon Dust found that at this time, his body had completely recovered. Even the left eye is less painful and can barely open, but the purgatory eye must not be used for a short time. However, even so, the power of the White Dragon family has made Long Chen very grateful. At least he doesn't need to wear an eye mask. It's very uncomfortable to wear it, especially it doesn't look like a good man. In addition to the purgatory eye, Long Chen's body has completely recovered. It has to be said that the healing effect of the holy power of the White Dragon family is very amazing. No, you misunderstood me. It's not because you're in good health that I drove you away. But the Emperor's scale is ahead. That's your goal. I have sensed that the ancestor scale of the Ming Dragon family is about to complete the recognition of the Lord. I think you have more important things to do. White Dragon Road. About to complete the Lord recognition? That is to say, he will be able to subdue Zhu Lin immediately? Dragon Dust was startled. It's too fast. It's really a little fast. It takes at least half a month to complete this step. The man, however, took only 3 days because he was assisted by other forces, which was equivalent to cheating. Therefore, the process of recognizing the Lord was very fast. White Dragon Road. Shit, it must be the power of the Dark Emperor on this boy who is helping him. Dragon Dust hates tunnel. The power of the Ming Emperor should be above the ancestral scale. With its help, the Ming Dragon Tianzhao will naturally be much more smooth. In addition, he also controls the Dragon Tooth Spear in his hand. The Dragon Tooth and Zhu Scale are left by Zhu Long. These two conditions add up, it's hard to think about it. You don't have to worry too much. There are two concepts, recognizing the Lord and subduing the scales. I want to explain this more. You'll understand it soon. White Dragon Road. Long Chen nodded, saluted the white dragon again, took a look at Buying Shue who was sleeping, and turned out of the white field. When walking out of the white field, the dragon dust appeared in the 10,000 dragon nest. At this time, the core of the 10,000 dragon nest was full of the strong men of the dark dragon family. They sat quietly under their ancestral scales and bathed in divine light. In the periphery, countless other dragon strongmen are also resting. They are also absorbing the divine light to purify themselves. Long Chen saw many dragon people with weak cultivation. According to their appearance, they should not have their own inheritance. When he came here, he came to rub food. These people who rub rice are relatively honest and sit there quietly without anyone making trouble. Dragon Dust walked out of the 10,000 dragon's nest and walked in the opposite direction to the Ming dragon's nest. He passed through many 10,000 dragons' nests all the way. Dragon Dust found that almost all the ancestral scales in the 10,000 dragons' nest had begun to appear. Some people had completed communication and seemed to have entered the ancestral scale space like the Ming dragon Tianzhao and Buying Shue. When the dragon dust came, the local strong people immediately became nervous and looked at the dragon dust with vigilance. Obviously, during the sleeping period of the dragon dust, the news that the dragon dust destroyed the dark dragon family has spread to every dragon nest around, and the face of the dragon dust has also been remembered by them. Dragon dust ignored them. He just passed by and passed through more than a dozen 10,000 dragon nests. The 10,000 dragon nests in front gradually began to become empty. These 10,000 dragon nests are intact, but the ancestral scales in the 10,000 dragon nests have disappeared. I don't know whether these ancestral scales have been taken away after being subdued. Boom! Through a 10,000 dragon nest, the roar came from the ear of dragon dust, just like the harsh sonic boom formed by a giant dragon flying in the sky. At the same time, the sound of dragon chanting came from the depths of my mind. It seemed to come from ancient times with endless wild gas. At that moment, the dragon blood in dragon dust was boiling for a moment. The dragon blood battle body emerged involuntarily. Here, Long Chen felt a strong call, and Long Chen accelerated his pace. Soon, the fire in the front passage burst into the sky, and the hot flame came to his face. Long Chen's heart jumped wildly. His blood gas exploded and formed a raging flame. His dragon blood burned automatically. This burning. Long Chen was shocked to find that this combustion was different from the combustion he understood. It was an energy conversion, not an energy consumption. Dragon dust looked at the blood beads seeping from the surface of his skin burning. The red flame formed on his body was like a flame armor. The power of the dragon covered every part of his body. I know too little about the power of dragon blood. Unfortunately, the elder is not here, otherwise he will teach me more dragon magic powers. Long Chen looked at the flame on his body and felt the endless power of the dragon flowing back and forth, forming a strange cycle. The dragon blood was burning and the power was rising, but the original power of the dragon blood was not lost. Dragon Dust knows that this is an automatic vision formed after the dragon blood in his body is awakened, not the dragon magic power he controls. Long Chen observed briefly and continued to walk forward. Lava and red flames appeared on the earth in front. However, the red flame has no malice to the dragon dust, but has the meaning of closeness. The terrible high temperature makes the dragon dust feel extremely warm. Ta-ta! Dragon Dust stepped on the lava and walked all the way. His dragon blood was pulled by the power here and kept burning. The flame around him was higher and stronger. This is... Suddenly, the dragon dust stopped. He saw a huge keel. The flesh and blood of the keel had melted, leaving only the skeleton. The skeleton was also burning. The endless dragon runes on it were flowing and gradually integrated into the magma. When the dragon dust came in front of it, its skeleton gradually disappeared and was swallowed up by lava. Good guy, this is at least a 7-star destiny. Although there is only one skeleton left, the dragon dust feels its powerful breath. Obviously, This is a powerful 7-star destiny. He came to try his luck and died in the channel. According to Long Chen's guess, this should be a dragon genius without inheritance. Otherwise, he will subdue his own ancestral scales before coming over. Because he had no ancestral scales of his family and could not resist the temptation of emperor scales, he came to take a risk. Now he didn't even see what emperor scales looked like, so he died here. Shit, I'm finally tough. Seeing a powerful 7-star fatalist die here and have no chance to escape, you know how terrible the lava flame here is. When Long Chen comes here, the flame will not hurt him, but also help him. Long Chen has never had such preferential treatment in his life. Long Chen walked all the way and never saw any other strong dragon people. It is estimated that the strong people will not come if they don't surrender Zhu Lin. People without ancestral scale inheritance can only be swallowed up by lava here, and they don't even have a chance to stay. Dragon Dust walked along the lava channel for an hour. The more forward, the more grand and violent the flame was, but Dragon Dust still galloped away in the flame without any pressure. Buzz, suddenly, the violent flame in front disappeared and replaced by a quiet world. Ilgo, when Long Chen saw the scene in front of him, Long Chen's heart almost jumped out. www.mylovenival.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4594. The center of the 10,000 Dragon Nest is a sea of magma, which is different from the violent state in the channel. The magma here is like a calm lake. There is no terrible high temperature, no violent air waves, just a calm red world. Above the calm lava sea, there is a red dragon scale suspended. Dong dong dong. When he saw the red dragon scale, Long Chen's heart began to jump wildly. At that moment, Long Chen couldn't hear anything. The only thing he could hear was his own heartbeat. Long Chen's heartbeat became louder and louder. Finally, it was like a war drum beating. Even Long Chen could feel the heartbeat of the red dragon scale, and their heartbeat resonated. At the beginning, Long Chen had a feeling of blood boiling, but with the heartbeat constantly strengthening, Long Chen gradually felt bad. Every beat of his heart would be like a volcanic eruption, shaking himself dizzy. Poof! Suddenly, without warning, Dragon Dust took a mouthful of blood and burst out. To Dragon Dust's horror, the blood was colored. At that moment, a look of fear appeared in Long Chen's eyes, and he suddenly thought of something. Poof! Then another mouthful of blood spewed out. The Dragon Dust spewed out colorful supreme blood and purple blood, which was his original blood essence. The dragon scale wanted to force the colorful supreme blood and purple blood out of his body. In other words, this imperial scale is extremely overbearing. This is to change his blood, so that there is only dragon blood in his body. Senior, you can't do this. Dragon Dust screamed. Boom! Suddenly, there was a loud noise in Long Chen's body, and the blood of Long Chen's big mouth gushed out. His heart couldn't bear it and burst into pieces. Buzz, at the moment when the heart of Dragon Dust burst, blood-colored Shenhui appeared on the calm lake. Hundreds of millions of blood-colored Shenhui rushed to Dragon Dust and tied it up in a moment. When he was bound by the blood-color Shenhui, Long Chen's whole body trembled, and the endless power of blood poured into Long Chen's body. The just broken heart was generated again. Unexpectedly, Dragon Dust didn't need to use the vitality of chaotic space to heal in an instant, but before Dragon Dust felt lucky, the newly formed heart beat suddenly, and then Dragon Dust gushed blood. The blood vomited was still his colorful supreme blood and purple blood. At that moment, Long Chen panicked and roared, "Don't make trouble. I'm a Terran, not a dragon. I don't need to change my blood." But no one answered him. His heart contracted tightly and pumped out the colorful supreme blood and purple blood hidden in his body. This was to use his heart as a water pump to drain all his blood. While Dragon Dust's own blood essence decreased, hundreds of millions of blood-color Shenhui sent a drop of blood into Dragon Dust to replace the blood essence lost by Dragon Dust. Long Chen was shocked and angry. Although those blood entered Long Chen's body, Long Chen obviously felt that his body was strengthening rapidly, but he couldn't accept this behavior. "Let go of me, I don't want your inheritance, let go of me." Dragon Dust roared and struggled wildly. However, the silk thread formed by hundreds of millions of god hui is extremely tough, and dragon dust can't earn at all. Boom, Lei Linger and Hua Linger appeared, and they attacked the silk threads at the same time, but their power was so small that they couldn't shake them at all. Elder, help me. At this time, Long Chen asked Qian Kuan Ding for help. At this time, Qian Kuan Ding fell into a dead silence and didn't answer Long Chen. Poof, dragon dust's heart burst again, and then it was generated again. It continued to draw dragon dust's colorful supreme blood and purple blood. After the two kinds of blood flew out, they were swallowed by the magma here and disappeared without a trace. At that moment, Long Chen fell into madness. He roared and struggled, but it didn't work. Endless dragon blood constantly infiltrated into Long Chen's body and transformed his body. Soon, Long Chen almost felt less than the existence of supreme blood and purple blood in his body. At that moment, he was crazy. I told you to stop. Dragon dust sent out a startling roar, which was accompanied by the will of heaven and earth to surrender, and also contained the killing intention of destroying 9 days. This roar made 9 days and 10 earth tremble. In each syllable, there was a forest cold killing intention, which frightened all souls. Buzz, the billowing sound waves broke out, and hundreds of millions of silk threads trapped in dragon dust burst at the same time. The calm sea of lava boiled with the roar of dragon dust. The whole dragon nest is full of echoes of dragon dust roaring. Stop it, stop it, stop it. The sound was like the decree of the Emperor of Heaven and could not be disobeyed. With this roar, the whole dragon nest fell into silence again. After the dragon dust roared, he fell into a coma and floated on the void. You shouldn't be smart enough to paint the snake. Just then a voice came. It was the voice of the heaven and earth tripod. Obviously, the heaven and earth tripod was talking to the dragon scale in the center of the lava sea, and the dragon scale didn't answer the heaven and earth tripod. After calming down for a while, it shot a divine glow and sucked the dragon dust. Then the body of the dragon dust disappeared, and the whole lava sea fell into calm again. Nothing happened to imitate the Buddha. Dragon dust bathed in the sea of blood, his body began to molt, bone spurs grew out of his flesh and blood, and then fell off. There is endless power in the sea of blood. It is transforming the body of dragon dust. Dragon scales constantly emerge on the body of dragon dust. The colors and shapes of dragon scales are different. After these scales are born, they fall off, then regenerate and then fall off. The white skin of dragon dust gradually becomes bronze, just like dragon skin. I don't know how long later, Long Chen suddenly woke up. He roared and flew out of the bloody ocean. When he felt the endless power in his body, he didn't feel surprised. Instead, with endless anger, he roared up to the sky. I'm not a big man, but I have a good temper. Just then, a cold hum came. Long Chen looked around. He saw a middle-aged man wearing blood armor and burly like an iron tower, looking at him coldly. He has a national face, his eyes are like electricity, exudes frightening brilliance, and his angular cheeks indicate that he is a very determined person who cannot be questioned by others. Long Chen stood in front of him, but he had a feeling of looking up, as if he was a natural emperor. Awesome. Did you take away my colorful supreme blood and purple blood? Long Chen looked at the dignified middle-aged man and roared. Stupid, you have the strongest blood of the dragon family. Why do you want those useless blood? You people are really greedy. The middle-aged man snorted coldly. Cut the crap and give me back my blood. Dragon dust roared, his chi and blood rushed up, directly rushed at the middle-aged man and hit him with a fist. www.milovenovel.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4595 Dragon dust punched out and sent out a harsh sonic boom. Endless power rose in his body, just like a violent volcanic eruption. The physical power of dragon dust was much stronger than before. But at this time, the dragon dust was shocked and angry. He wanted to recapture his blood and didn't notice these at all. Boom! With a bang, the power of dragon dust that can shake the world was blocked by the middle-aged man. Long Chen couldn't shake the middle-aged man with his full fist, but he was shocked with blood, a sweet throat and a mouthful of blood. What made Longchen angry was that his blood was no longer 7 colors, and he could not see the fluctuation of purple blood. At that moment, Longchen's eyes were black and almost fainted. The colorful supreme blood and purple blood were gone. His body was forcibly transformed by the middle-aged man. Both kinds of blood had disappeared. I don't understand. The great dragon emperor, how can he see a fool like you? The middle-aged man snorted coldly and pushed with a big hand. Boom, dragon dust but felt a great force. People galloped away like a meteor, like flying stones. After several ups and downs in the lava sea, they hit the rock wall of Wanlong's nest. With a bang, the rock wall was knocked out of a huge pit by dragon dust. However, dragon dust felt that his bones were broken and almost fell apart by the middle-aged man. 7-star battle, open. Dragon dust roared and summoned 7 stars to fight the body. Endless stars circulated around dragon dust, and the whole body has become stars. Boom! Dragon dust suddenly propped up on the rock wall and rushed towards the middle-aged man like a meteor. Dragon dust didn't notice that he could only make some stars in the past. For example, fist stars, arm stars and star fists can directly resist divine soldiers. But now, all the bodies of dragon dust have become stars. Endless stars flow in dragon dust's body, and the power is endless. Boom! The middle-aged man waved his palm to block the dragon's nest, and the sea of lava set off thousands of miles of waves. 2 people's fists and palms hit each other, endless power erupted, and the overlapping ripples spread in all directions. Return my blood, dragon dust roared. The power of stars in his body turned faster and faster. His power became stronger and stronger. The whole dragon nest was shaking wildly. The middle-aged man finally showed a touch of movement in his indifferent eyes, but soon the touch disappeared, and he gave a cold hum. Buzz, he pushed forward with his big hand, and the dragon dust snorted like a meteor, hitting the original rock wall 10 times faster than before. Boom! The place where the dragon dust hit was the original depression. With great force, it directly penetrated the rock wall. The dragon dust rolled out all the way and hit a channel in the 10,000 dragon nest. Endless rock collapses and dragon dust rolls all the way. I don't know how far it flies. When he stands firm, he has been placed in other 10,000 dragon nests. Poof! Dragon dust took a mouthful of blood, and the middle-aged man hit him and threw him violently out of the 10,000 dragon nest. Longchen was furious. He faced this humiliation for the first time in his life. His blood was given by his parents. Now he was stripped away like garbage. He was going crazy. He roared and was going to rush out again. Enough is enough. At this time, the voice of the heaven and earth tripod came. What is enough? Am I making trouble out of nothing? Parents who are physically vulnerable dare not be hurt, and filial piety begins. I can't even keep my own blood. What face does my dragon dust have standing between heaven and earth? How can I be worthy of my parents? Dragon dust roared. His voice became hoarse because of extreme anger. But the middle-aged man was too strong. The dragon dust in front of him was just like the mole ant facing the dragon. There was no resistance at all. Longchen felt so incompetent for the first time in his life. He was like a waste. He couldn't even protect his most precious things. Fool, who said your blood was taken away? Heaven and earth ding lung xing dao. Didn't you take it? Dragonchen was surprised, but he felt it carefully. He couldn't feel the power of colorful supreme blood and purple blood, let alone stimulate their magic power. Dragon dust was furious. But before he could speak, he suddenly found that on the surface of his heart, I don't know when, there were 2 more runes, one colorful and one purple. This is... When he saw the 2 runes, Longchen was surprised and happy, because on them, Longchen finally felt the fluctuation of colorful supreme blood and purple blood. That guy originally wanted to give you a big change of blood, wash your colorful supreme blood and purple blood with the dragon blood in the lava sea, and turn you into a pure blood dragon family. However, he underestimated the blood of the Terran. When the colorful supreme blood and purple blood could not resist the dragon blood, they chose to hibernate. When the time was ripe, they would wake up and regain their position. Even if your blood meets an irresistible opponent, you will choose to forbear and give in, but you are like a Lengtauking. You know you can't beat others and have to fight hard. It's stupid. Heaven and Earth Tripod Cold Tunnel. Hearing the words of the Heaven and Earth Tripod, Long Chen was elated. He carefully watched the two runes and felt their fluctuations. Long Chen finally put down his heart. What the elder taught me is that the boy is really stupid. This time, Long Chen was embarrassed and scratched his head in embarrassment. I'm going to apologize to the elder. Dragon Dust Road. Forget it, he doesn't look up to you. If it wasn't for some special reason, he would kill you directly. The Heaven and Earth Tripod is not good. What should I do? I still want Emperor's scales? Long Chen's heart suddenly cooled. The guy didn't want to see him. It's over. From the middle-aged man's eyes, Long Chen saw his disgust and disdain. I'm afraid it would be as difficult for him to hand over the Emperor's scales. Don't pay attention to him. Now you have completed the first step of subduing Emperor's scale. As long as you can defeat him, even if he doesn't want to, you have to hand over Emperor's scale. Heaven and Earth Ding Dao. Defeat him? How is it possible? Although Long Chen is confident, he deeply knows that there is an unreachable gap between him and the middle-aged man. He has no chance at all. I didn't tell you to beat him now. Heaven and Earth Ding Dao. You mean let me? Long Chen suddenly understood the meaning of Heaven and Earth Ding. Yes, you can subdue him after the robbery. Only when you cross the robbery can you defeat him. Heaven and Earth Ding Dao. But the dark dragon shines on them. The dragon dust is full of worry. Don't worry. If they want to subdue their ancestors, they also need to cross the robbery before they can start the challenge. In addition, if you want to challenge the Emperor's scale, you first need to obtain the challenge qualification. Now you have obtained the challenge qualification. No one can get close to the Emperor's scale before you fail. Heaven and Earth Ding Dao. Hearing this, Long Chen was relieved, so he didn't have to worry. At that moment, his mood suddenly improved. Let's go. Time is precious. We have more important things to do. Heaven and Earth Ding Road. Long Chen nodded and walked outside. www.milovenival.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4596. The dragon dust trembled behind it. It planned to open the Kunping wings, but it was shocked to find that his Kunping wings had disappeared. My Kunping wings have been washed off. Long Chen was surprised, but he thought that even his own lifeblood was almost washed away, let alone Kunpeng's wings. However, dragon dust's Kunpeng wings are refined from the runes of Kunpeng's wings. Those runes have been printed in dragon dust's mind. Buzz Kunpeng's wings reappeared, but the Kunpeng's wings were transformed by the power of thunder. I don't know whether Long Chen deliberately annoyed the middle-aged man. The thunder wings still look like Kunpeng's wings. Summon the wings, and the dragon dust flies forward. On the Kunpeng wings transformed by the power of thunder, the runes flow, and the speed is not much worse than the original Kunpeng wings. When he came out of the Emperor's 10,000 dragon nest, Long Chen suddenly found that some 10,000 dragon nests were overcrowded before, but now people go to the nest empty, but the ancestral scale is still suspended in the core of the 10,000 dragon nest. When Long Chen came to the White Dragon family's 10,000 dragon nest, he found that all the people of the White Dragon family had disappeared, but there were many other strong dragon people here, enjoying the baptism of the holy light. When the dragon dust arrived, a strong dragon came up and said respectfully, "Lord Long Chen, Your Highness Yingxue and others have finished washing the marrow with dragon blood and have just left. I specially ordered to explain to you if you meet an adult." Dragon blood marrow washing? Long Chen was stunned at first. He suddenly thought that the Emperor's strong man changed his blood and transformed his flesh with violence. It is estimated that it is also a kind of marrow washing. According to the Heaven and Earth Tripod, after washing the marrow, you need to go through Heaven's disaster and advance to the god before you are qualified to challenge Zeus' scale. Before crossing the robbery, we still need to find a place suitable for crossing the robbery. At the same time, we have to wait for the awakening of the magic spirit world, which is the best crossing time. The so-called Wandao awakening, whether in the illusory spiritual world, the virtual spiritual world, or the mysterious spiritual world, the three worlds will awaken at the same time. According to the heaven and earth tripod, it is the geomantic cycle of the 9-day world, which is the best time to cross the robbery in the change of qi and fortune. At that time, there will be miracles from heaven, and the law of the 9-day channel will change dramatically. At that time, the ancient breath will come. At that time, you can absorb the ancient aura and enjoy the way of the strong in ancient times. You know, with the change of the times, the laws of heaven and earth become incomplete, so there are signs of decline in the soul, talent and blood of Terrans and other races. In particular, the race inherited by blood, countless blood runes, began to enter the state of hibernation, and even some blood vessels could never wake up because of the long hibernation time. No one knows how many runes in his body are still dormant and whether they will be awakened again. Therefore, countless people are waiting for the emergence of this 10,000 awakening vision. Crossing the robbery in this state is their only chance to awaken their sleeping blood. Although the world is now quiet and there is no sign of awakening, people like Baiying Xue who have made countless preparations to subdue the scales have already started looking for the best place to cross the robbery and made all the preparations. Baiying Xue also has a delicate mind. He sent someone to look for Longchen. Without finding him, he guessed that Longchen might have gone to the Emperor's Wanlong nest. They dare not approach the Emperor's 10,000 dragon nest. The sea of lava will burn their spirits. No one can walk into the Emperor's 10,000 dragon nest so easily except dragon dust. Even if they want to take a chance, it is not now. They have the idea of fighting Emperor Scales before subduing their ancestors, which is no different from dying. Therefore, Baiying Xue left with her people. Before leaving, she told the people around her that if dragon dust came to find it, she would explain the reason why she and others left. After understanding the context, Longchen left the 10,000 dragon nest of the White Dragon family and went directly to the 10,000 dragon nest of the Ming Dragon family. The 10,000 dragon nest of the Dark Dragon family has been destroyed, but the ancestral scales are still suspended in the void. When the dragon dust comes again, it can't feel the breath of the Dark Dragon Tianzhao, which shows that the Dark Dragon Tianzhao has left. Dragon dust was angry and burst out at the ancestral scale. However, Dragon dust found that at this time, he could not cause any harm to the ancestral scale, so he had to leave angrily. At that time, Longchen had an evil idea, that is, to smash the ancestral scales of the Ming Dragon family with the heaven and earth tripod. At the thought, the Ming Dragon Tianzhao came back and wanted to subdue the inverse scales, but he found that the inverse scales were gone. Longchen can imagine the scene of the Ming Dragon Tianzhao being furious at that time. Unfortunately, Longchen's idea is good, but if he doesn't do the heaven and earth tripod, it's easy to explode the ancestral scales, but it doesn't pay to be contaminated with the dragon curse. He just woke up and doesn't want to sleep again. Longchen couldn't beat the heaven and earth tripod. He could only kick the ancestral scales of the Dark Dragon family again. The thunder wings behind him trembled and flew away like a meteor. Dragon dust flew for most of the day before it flew out of the place where the dragon was buried. When dragon dust came out, it also saw many other strong dragon people flying out from the depths. Obviously, they also wanted to find a place to cross the robbery. Elder, I want to go back to the virtual spirit world first. Out of the place where the dragon was buried, the dragon dust said to heaven and earth. The virtual spirit world is vast. You can't find your brothers. It's meaningless. We need to do something serious. Heaven and earth ding dao. What business? Dragon dust asked. Time is precious. Just follow the direction I assigned you. In order to save time, use the directional ultra-long-distance transmission array. The heaven and earth tripod didn't answer, but directly asked the dragon dust to use the transmission array. Directional ultra-long-distance transmission array is a kind of ultra-long-distance transmission array. Xiaqin gave hundreds of such array disks to Longchen. This directional ultra-long-distance array can send people a very long distance, and this distance will change due to the limitation of space law. According to Xiaqin's many tests, One transmission can save dragon dust about a month's running time. At the speed of dragon dust, it is almost difficult to calculate the distance for a month. However, although this ultra-long-distance transmission array has a long transmission distance, it also has its great disadvantage, that is, the accuracy is very poor. Moreover, in case of invisible world barriers and huge impact during transmission, it is likely to kill people directly. There are many super long-distance transmission arrays on Longchen, but he dare not use them easily. Because he knows the distance, he can't use it at all. If he doesn't know the distance, he is prone to huge deviation, and the practical effect is really general. However, this time, Qian Ding asked him to use the super long-distance transmission array. Long Chen had confidence and started the transmission array according to the directions specified by Qian Ding. Buzz, tens of millions of runes glowed on the array plate with a radius of tens of meters. The mountain of spirit stones in the array plate lost their luster and turned into powder. The space in front of Long Chen's eyes changed from distortion to calm. Before he could see the world in front of him, suddenly the smell came from the pavement, and then the whole world suddenly turned black. www.milovenival.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4597 Poof! Suddenly a huge head burst to pieces, the dragon dust rushed out of the blood rain, and then the body of a headless python hundreds of miles long rolled down. Why is it so unlucky? Long Chen looked at the body of the strange python on the ground and couldn't help scolding, throwing the body of the strange python into the chaotic space. It's really bad luck. Even the heaven and earth tripod could not help sighing. The position of the dragon dust transmission happened to be right in front of the strange python. For the strange python, it was just fat meat sent to his mouth. Instinctively, it swallowed the dragon dust, but it didn't expect that the fat meat of dragon dust was not so delicious. A warcraft in the realm of God was unable to eat dragon dust, but lost its life. Where is this? Dragon dust is in a dense forest, surrounded by towering ancient trees. The canopy covers the sky, and the surrounding fairy fog flows and is dense, so it is impossible to overlook. Even here, the divine consciousness of dragon dust has been affected to a certain extent. I don't know where it is, but there must be something you need. Heaven and Earth Ding responded. Roar. Just then a roar came, followed by a roar in the distance. The roar was approaching rapidly. Longchen instinctively converged and hid in a huge tree. Longchen had just hid. A figure flew in front of Longchen like lightning. It was a human creature with wings. He held a blood-red fruit in his hand. When he saw that the red fruit glittered with bloodlines, Longchen's pupils shrank slightly. Scarlet fruit is a famous longevity fruit, which can greatly prolong the life of users regardless of racial blood. This is an anti-heaven treasure, especially for those practitioners who can't break through in the bottleneck period and will run out of longevity. The blood-striped red fruit is their last chance. The reason why dragon dust is moved is not because of its life-prolonging effect, but because it is one of the important medicinal materials for refining Nirvana Chong pill. Although it is not the main medicine, dragon dust has been collected for a long time, but there is no news about it. It can be seen how rare it is. I didn't expect to see it here. Boom! Suddenly there was a loud explosion. A huge lizard flew out of the dense forest. The endless trees were smashed by it. With a big mouth, it bit the winged creature. Seeing that the creature was about to be swallowed by the bloody pot, the wings behind the creature suddenly emitted a divine light. Under the distortion of space, people appeared thousands of miles away like a blink. Bang! The creature escaped from the lizard's bloody mouth and turned to reveal a face similar to the human race. A mocking color appeared at the corners of his mouth and sneered, "Stupid guy, no matter how many years you guard it, it's not yours after all." When the creature looked at the lizard, his pupils suddenly narrowed and saw the dragon dust not far from the lizard. Dragon dust disguised well, but unexpectedly he was found by the creature. Obviously, the perception of the creature is very strong. The creature felt bad and his wings trembled behind him. Just as he was about to show his magic power again, His feet suddenly tightened and a tongue like a rope wrapped around his legs silently. Fool, dragon dust saw it clearly. In fact, at the moment when the lizard bit empty, it made a move. The creature seemed not to pay attention to the lizard at all. In addition, he was distracted by the dragon dust and was wrapped in his legs by the lizard's tongue. The creature was wrapped around his legs and his face suddenly changed. He struggled hard, but he was shocked to find that his tongue was like a rope, empty and unable to earn it all. Here you are. The creature suddenly stopped drinking, waved his big hand, and the blood-grain jugua in his hand rushed to the dragon dust with a roaring wind. Pa Longchen reached out to catch the bloodstained jugua, and a strange smile appeared on his face, directly throwing the bloodstained jugua into the chaotic space. Boom! Just then, the lizard's huge tail swept across and went straight to the dragon dust. Under the rolling of great power, the mountain collapsed and the earth cracked. This blow was extremely terrible. Boom! The huge tail swept the place of dragon dust, and the huge tree was directly powdered, but dragon dust easily avoided the blow at the critical moment. Hiss! Longchen just avoided the attack of the lizard, and a silent arrow stabbed Longchen's back like a poisonous snake hidden in the dark. Pa! Longchen spun and easily grabbed the arrow in his hand. The arrow was made of fine iron. The arrow was black. There was viscous liquid on it. It was fishy. It looked that it had been highly poisoned. Dragon dust looked coldly at the distance. The creature who just got out of trouble gave dragon dust a hidden arrow. Although I know that it is a disaster for you to throw the scarlet fruit to me, I still owe you a favor. And you hurt people secretly and want my life. This favor is offset. If you dare to do it again, I will never be merciful. Just now, at the critical moment, the creature threw the bloody red fruit to Longchen. It moved very hard and the strong wind roared. It was intended to attract the lizard's attention. The lizard was immediately attracted by the dragon dust, because the blood-tattooed red fruit was in the hand of the dragon dust, and then released the creature and attacked the dragon dust. This person has completed such a layout in a very short time. It is obvious that he has a very deep mind. And dragon dust is not a fuel-efficient lamp. At the moment he shot, he understood his intention. Longchen didn't kill the man directly, so that he could safely accept the blood-stained red fruit. When the creature saw that his plan was exposed, a touch of ruthlessness and unwillingness appeared in his eyes. Suddenly, he clenched his teeth and disappeared like a streamer. Boom! At the moment when the creature disappeared, the huge lizard bit Longchen, and Longchen kicked the lizard on the upper jaw. There was a loud noise, blood spatter, and the foot of dragon dust broke the huge lizard's upper jaw. At that moment, Longchen himself was startled. You know, the lizard was very powerful and its flesh was terrible. Longchen thought he would kick it over with one foot at most, but he didn't expect to directly kick its upper jaw. Good guy, when did my power become so strong? Longchen's face was unbelievable. Do you feel it now? The heaven and earth tripod is not good. Dragon dust suddenly realized that after the blood exchange of the Emperor's 10,000 dragon nest, he had almost completed a rebirth. However, at that time, Longchen fought with the middle-aged man and was beaten all over the ground looking for teeth. He was not someone else's opponent at all. He didn't feel the improvement of his strength at all. Now, after kicking the lizard, the dragon dust realized that his strength had reached a situation that even he felt terrible. Boom! At this time, there was a roar in the distance. When Longchen saw the endless birds flying in disorder, he was immediately attracted, summoned the thunder wings and galloped in that direction. www.milovenovel.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4598. The dragon dust looked for the sound and galloped. He found that the more he moved forward, the more rich the aura between heaven and earth. This aura is not the aura absorbed by cultivation, but the natural aura. The so-called land of aura must produce natural materials and treasures. At this time, Longchen finally understood why the heaven and earth tripod let him come here. His emotion was to let him collect herbs. Longchen suddenly thought that it had been a long time since he had made alchemy. The recovery of the heaven and earth tripod was stagnant. It is estimated that it is more anxious to make alchemy than Longchen. Just arrived, I harvested a precious blood-striped red fruit, and the more forward, the more rich the aura, which means that there must be better babies in front. Elder, how do you know there are treasures here? Dragon Dust couldn't help asking. You're a little naive. I've been with precious medicine since I was born. Can I not even have this perception? Unfortunately, I am still in a weak state and my strength is not as strong as that in the peak period, otherwise. Forget it. The heaven and earth tripod originally had a trace of pride in his tone. However, when it came to the later, he was a little depressed and shut up directly. It was estimated that he thought of something in the past. Elder, do you have any secrets in treasure hunting? Can you teach me one or two moves? Dragon Dust asked for advice with an open mind. The so-called supernatural things are self-obscuring, and the real natural and local treasures will hide themselves and are not so easy to find. However, even if the spirit knows how to hide, it is easy to be stared at by some spirit animals and insects. Once found, it will be eaten. Therefore, it is very difficult for a spirit to grow up. After growing up, a spirit often looks for a powerful creature as a guardian. They will give their guardians some benefits in exchange for their protection. That's why precious natural materials and earth treasures will be guarded by powerful creatures. It's really difficult to find natural materials and earth treasures. In fact, it's also very simple. You just need to find the nests of powerful creatures. But if you don't live in groups and stay alone in one place, 9 times out of 10 there are babies. Heaven and earth ding dao. They'll go. Don't I understand? I didn't mean that. Longchen asked again. I mean, do you have any special methods, such as how you feel here? The heaven and earth tripod said, it's really impossible to teach. It's my innate ability. It's the result of hundreds of millions of years of alchemy. Of course, if you continue to refine pills every day from now on, with your talent and wisdom, I think you can have this ability in 30,000 years. 30,000 years. Forget it when I didn't say. Longchen was speechless for a while. He said that for 3 years, Longchen felt that there was still some running. In 30,000 years, Longchen directly died this heart. Boom, there was another explosion in front, followed by the sound of startling roar. The magic chi in front rushed to the sky and covered the sky. They'll go. The enemy's road is narrow. It's the demon clan. Seeing this scene, Longchen immediately accelerated his speed and rushed forward. Soon, there were many gullies ahead, ancient wood and boulders became powder, scattered in all directions, and the earth was full of cracks. From the traces, we can see how fierce the battle was. When he stepped into the battlefield, Longchen saw tens of thousands of powerful demons, frantically besieging a huge lizard. But when the dragon dust approached, he found that it was not a lizard, but an armadillo comparable to a mountain. The armadillo was thousands of miles long, curled up and held a mountain firmly. Tens of thousands of powerful demons were frantically attacking its body. At this time, the armadillo is at an absolute disadvantage and can only defend but can't attack. It protects the mountain. According to Longchen's guess, there is the treasure. However, it holds it too tightly and can't see what's inside. Brothers, work hard, it will die. Then all the treasures will be ours. A demon strong man with a wide-back magic sword shouted. Obviously, he is the leader here. He has a strong breath. He is a 7-star destiny and the top of the 7-star destiny. No, you should remember that the treasure always belongs to the 3rd master of the dragon. Just then, a lazy voice came, not loud, but clearly into everyone's ears. Who? Those powerful demons were shocked. Turning around, they saw a young man in a black robe, holding his arms in front of his chest and a grass stalk in his mouth, walking leisurely and slowly towards them. I want to say I'm your father, but look at your appearance. Forget it. Don't take advantage of it. Longchen looked at the demon strong man with a wide-back magic sword and shook his head. Die. The demon family strong man with a wide-back magic sword was furious. He stepped out, took the magic sword out of the scabbard behind him, and cut off the dragon dust with a sword. Boom! With a loud explosion, the sword of the powerful demon family carrying the wide-back demon sword was cut straight, with billowing air and full power. However, the man and all the powerful demon family were stunned when the sword was cut. Dragon dust did not move. A big hand grabbed the man's magic sword. The violent power was caught by him. Most importantly, Dragon Dust's hair did not tremble when he caught such a violent blow. How dare a mole ant challenge the dragon? Click! Dragon Dust's 5 fingers were like a hook. He made a sudden force. At the moment when the green tendons burst, the magic sword was forcibly pinched by Dragon Dust's 5 fingers. What? At the moment when the magic sword was crushed by Dragon Dust, the powerful demons were shocked and forgot to attack the armadillo. The owner of the magic sword, while the magic sword was broken, a mouthful of blood gushed out. It was his own magic weapon. The magic sword was broken and his soul was damaged. Poof! Long Chen cut straight with a broken sword. The powerful demon is split into 2 pieces by Long Chen's sword. In front of Long Chen, he has no qualification to resist. Dragon Dust killed the strong demons. Other strong demons were frightened. With a bang, tens of thousands of strong demons fled in all directions. The demon clan, which is famous for its ruthlessness, was scared away by Dragon Dust. If it was spread, I don't know how many people would be surprised. This is not to blame for these powerful demons. On the one hand, because the power shown by Dragon Dust is too strong, even the 7-star destiny has no room to struggle in front of Dragon Dust. On the other hand, they felt the fear from the depths of their souls in Longchen. That fear was because Longchen slaughtered too many demons and formed a strange soul shock. Want to run? There was a sneer at the corners of Long Chen's mouth. The demon clan and Long Chen were mortal enemies. Long Chen would not watch them escape. Even a group of minions, Long Chen would not let them go. Ooh, just when Long Chen was ready to take action, suddenly the huge armadillo trembled, hugged his body and opened slowly. When he saw the place in his arms, the Dragon Dust was moved at that moment. www.milovenival.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4599. The armadillo embraces not only the mountain, but also the 4 cubs huddled together on the mountain. The 4 armadillo cubs are several feet long and look very big, but their scales are translucent and their eyes haven't opened yet. It's obvious that they have just been born. It turned out that it was not a natural treasure, but its children. When Long Chen saw this scene, he couldn't help shaking his heart. Armadillo is a warcraft. It is reasonable to say that warcraft has a violent animal nature. When there is no energy supply, they will even eat their cubs. The armadillo, in order to protect his cub, knew that he would die, but refused to leave the cub and escape. This scene shocked Longchen greatly. The armadillo's behavior seems to subvert Dragon Dust's cognition of warcraft. Dragon Dust comes to the huge armadillo. At this time, it has been seriously injured, its scales have almost collapsed, its flesh and blood turned out, and the blood has dyed the whole mountain red. When the Dragon Dust came to it, it tried to open its eyes. There was no tyranny, no anger, but the begging eyes. He looked at the 4 cubs in his arms, looked at the top of the mountain and nodded to Longchen. Dragon Dust knows that what it wants to express is that the treasure can be taken away, hoping not to hurt its children. When Long Chen went up the mountain, he saw a flat place on the top of the mountain. He had just stepped on the top of the mountain, and the aroma came to his face. He took a sip, which made people's 18,000 pores look normal in an instant. It's purple leaf orchid heart fruit. It's really a baby. When he saw a rare medicine 3 feet high, Long Chen couldn't help sighing. Its leaves are like swords, and its roots stand upright. On the middle stem, it bears a fruit the size of a fist. The pungent aroma is exactly what the fruit emits. Purple leaf orchid heart fruit is a kind of holy medicine. If you don't eat it first, even if you surround it and smell its aroma every day, you can make people calm and condense, and the movement of qi and blood is unimpeded. It has great benefits in healing, insight, and practice. And its fruit can refine a variety of holy pills. Dragon Dust has only heard of it before, but has never seen it. Dragon Dust picked the purple leaf orchid heart fruit. When the fruit was picked, The purple leaf orchid heart fruit immediately began to wither and turn yellow. It was not dead, but after losing the fruit, it began to enter a dormant state. Just like plants and trees in winter, when spring comes, they will recover and blossom and bear fruit. However, the next result may take hundreds of thousands or even millions of years. When the dragon dust picked the fruit, the huge armadillo's body obviously trembled. It guarded the purple leaf orchid heart fruit for many years. It had a soul feeling with the purple leaf orchid heart fruit, and seemed to feel the pain of the purple leaf orchid heart fruit. Perhaps it is because of the soul induction with purple leaf orchid heart fruit that its tyrannical character of Warcraft has been changed by purple leaf orchid heart fruit. What are you doing? Suddenly, the heaven and earth tripod said, because he looked at the dragon dust and broke off the armadillo's big mouth. Its voice was a little unexpected. Dragon dust did not answer, but threw the purple leaf orchid heart fruit into the deep throat of the armadillo. The armadillo seemed shocked. Its eyes were full of unbelievable looks. When the purple leaf orchid heart fruit entered the abdomen, the wound on its body was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, it gave birth to brand new scales and a strong breath, which was slowly recovering. It's a red armadillo. Heaven and earth tripod reminded again. The red-armored armadillo has a keen sense of smell for natural materials and earth treasures, and grows up by taking all kinds of precious drugs. Its armor, blood, meat, bone, and internal organs are rare alchemy materials. The stronger the strength, the more precious it is. This armadillo has reached the Holy Land. Many places on it can be used as medicine to refine holy pills. Dragon Dust Light Tunnel. Are you going to let it go? The heaven and earth tripod doesn't understand the tunnel. I don't want to let it go, but I can't let it go. I can't pass the pass in my heart. The dragon dust stall is helpless. How could dragon dust know the origin of the armadillo? However, when he saw that he was fighting to protect his children, how could dragon dust have the heart to kill it? And kill it, the 4 little armadillos can't live. Although Long Chen has never had a good feeling for Warcraft, he really can't do it. You Terrans are really elusive. The heaven and earth tripod sighed. Yes, human nature is the most difficult to figure out. Right and wrong, hey, let it go. I am me, different fireworks. I have the temper of burning heaven and earth and destroying all things. I also have the silent feeling of accumulating virtue and doing good and moistening things. I like to act according to my heart. Hey, do you think my actions are stupid, bitch haw, not cruel enough? Dragon Dust laughed at himself. With these words, Long Chen came to the purple leaf orchid heart fruit tree, took out the jade shovel and dug the soil slowly, dug out the fruit tree and sent it into the chaotic space. When the fruit trees enter the chaotic space, they immediately get up and the withered leaves turn green again, a look of prosperity. No, your Terran character is always loved and hated by people. I saw the world brilliant because of your Terran, and I saw your Terran bury the world myself. The heaven and earth tripod is filled with emotion. It doesn't matter. Maybe you can see the glory of the Terran again in me. Long Chen laughed. Shouldn't this be a solemn oath with a solemn look and a fist? Heaven and earth ding dao. Hey, what if you can't do it? If you talk big, you can't take it back. It's hard to hit your face. Long Chen smiled. He observed the purple leaf orchid heart fruit tree and found that after entering the chaotic space, it soon returned to the state before being picked. Dragon dust began to divide its roots. A purple leaf orchid fruit tree was divided into hundreds of roots by dragon dust. The roots will wither immediately when they leave the mother tree, but when they are buried in the soil, there will be a breath of life soon, and the roots will gradually grow and produce buds. After finishing these, Long Chen looked at the armadillo and had to say that the purple leaf orchid heart fruit was really powerful. It had half died before. At this time, it had recovered most of its strength, the wound had completely healed, and a pair of eyes were guanghua and introverted. It seemed that it was undergoing some transformation. Bang! The red-armored armadillo lay on the ground with his head on the ground. It seemed to worship the dragon dust, and his eyes were full of gratitude. Long Chen nodded and jumped to the head of the red-armored armadillo. His big hand slowly pressed the center of his eyebrows, and the power of his soul slowly output. When the soul power of dragon dust poured into its sea of knowledge, the body of the red-armored armadillo trembled slightly, but there was no resistance. Soon, countless pictures poured into Longchen's mind, and Longchen jumped up excitedly. "Good guy, there are so many babies here." www.mylovenovel.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4600. By checking the memory of the armadillo, Longchen found that it was a treasure land with countless precious medicines, and the location of Longchen was just the periphery of the treasure land. In the depths of the treasure land, there are countless precious medicines, but these precious medicines are guarded by more terrible creatures. With the strength of the armadillo, it can only occupy a place in the peripheral area. Now Longchen gave it the purple leaf orchid heart fruit. He recovered from his injury and was grateful to Longchen. Even if the dragon dust planted a slave seal on it, it would not refuse, but the dragon dust did not do that, but let it leave. This armadillo has been living with purple leaf orchid heart fruit for a long time, and has given birth to wisdom, which is very different from ordinary Warcraft. Otherwise, it will not go against the life instinct of Warcraft to protect children. The armadillo left with 4 cubs. Longchen sorted out his ideas, took out a piece of paper and drew a sketch on it. "By the way, Elder, do you know what's in here?" Dragon Dust painted and suddenly said. He suddenly felt that he was stupid. The Heaven and Earth tripod knew everything. Let the Heaven and Earth tripod explore, wouldn't he have everything? What are you doing with this stupid effort? You have to eat your meal one mouthful at a time. You have to take the road step by step. Some things are doomed not to take shortcuts. Heaven and Earth Ding Dao, obviously it already knows what Longchen is thinking. Well, it's a white question. Experts always say something that people don't understand, and Longchen doesn't ask any questions anymore. However, Longchen felt that the purpose of the Heaven and Earth tripod to lead him here was probably not so simple. Dragon Dust quickly drew a sketch. This sketch has no direction coordinates, because Warcraft will not distinguish the southeast and northwest. It only knows the inside and outside, danger and safety. The memory of the armadillo once entered the depths, but it met a terrible creature. It was frightened by its breath without even seeing the appearance of the creature. Later, he drove away the original guardian of purple leaf orchid heart fruit and stayed. Before long, another armadillo came, and the armadillo was male. At first, the 2 armadillos competed with each other. Later, they became sharing purple leaf orchid heart fruit. Later, they even began to mate. Just hundreds of years ago, some creatures came to compete for the purple leaf orchid heart fruit. The male armadillo was killed and only one was left. Just after it was produced and its physical strength was weak, the strong man of the demon clan killed it. If the armadillo is in its heyday, these powerful demons will have to pay a painful price if they want to take it. This armadillo has lived here for a long time, but its footprint is not very wide. However, Longchen knows that there are powerful creatures in hundreds of places around. If there are powerful creatures, there must be babies. Dragon Dust only needs to know the general direction. He spreads the thunder wings and flies all the way to the depths. Roar! Suddenly, a roar came from the front, and a divine light penetrated the sky. I saw a figure beaten to powder by the divine light. The front is the territory of a wild wolf. A strong man, with his strong sneaking ability, touched the wolf's side and was just about to start on the baby. As a result, he was found by the wolf and killed with one blow. The man's behavior angered the wolf. He saw the flying dragon dust at a glance, and whether the dragon dust was with the man or not, his mouth suddenly opened. Buzz, a wind blade tore the void, like the sword of the god of heaven, and fiercely cut at the dragon dust. Boom! Dragon Dust waved his big hand and clapped his hand at the wind blade. The huge wind blade burst into pieces. The violent force of the wind blew in all directions and smashed countless rolling stone trees. Dragon Dust slapped the wind blade, stepped on the void, appeared in front of the wolf like a ghost, and kicked its head. Boom! The wolf's head suddenly sank and hit the earth. The earth burst to pieces and was kicked out of a big pit by dragon dust. The wolf no longer had the prestige before, but was replaced by endless fear. Its body was trembling, because the dragon dust was filled with blood and gas, and the explosion of dragon power made it afraid to move. If you are not a wolf, you are already a corpse. Dragon dust stood on the wolf's head, cold tunnel. With that, Long Chen walked off the wolf's head. Long Chen was right. If other warcraft attacked him, Long Chen would never show mercy. But seeing this wolf, Long Chen thought of Xiaoxue. Even if it attacked Long Chen first, it was difficult for Long Chen to kill it. The wolf was so frightened by the smell of dragon dust that he didn't dare to move. He lay down there honestly. Dragon dust looked at the site guarded by the wolf. There stood a strange tree more than 10 feet high. The leaves were narrow and long, like a machete, with more than a dozen fruits on it. There is strong wind energy in the fruit, but the fruit is not mature and cannot be used as medicine. Long Chen directly took a branch from the tree and moved it into chaotic space. He found that it soon had roots and left directly. The wolf thought he would die, or dragon dust would take all the fruit away, but he didn't expect that dragon dust only took a section of branch. When dragon dust left, he looked at the back of dragon dust and was stunned. When Long Chen came to a treasure in Armadillo's memory, he found that the whole mountain was full of blood. Obviously, after a bloody battle, he could see some stumps. However, in terms of blood gas fluctuation, the shooter is not a human race, and the creatures guarding here have disappeared. However, from the traces of the battlefield, they should not have been killed, but escaped. Dragon dust came to the core and found a deep pit on the ground. Obviously, the treasure was also dug away. However, the traces of the pit are very messy. It is obvious that after a bloody battle, although the strong drove away the guardian creature, they also paid a terrible price. This group of people must have suffered heavy casualties. For fear of being eaten by others, they quickly poached the baby and ran away. They didn't dare to stay more. Dragon dust squatted in the pit and searched the soil. When dragon dust found a small finger-thick root in the soil, a smile appeared on his face and threw it into the chaotic space. Soon it gave birth to a bud. Although Long Chen didn't get a complete baby and didn't even see what the baby looked like, with this root, it's no different from getting a complete baby. There is no need for any discrimination knowledge here. Anyway, as long as there are creatures stationed, there are definitely rare treasures. Damn Terran, hand over the baby and we can consider leaving you a whole corpse. Just as Long Chen was about to leave, a large group of murderous creatures surrounded Long Chen. www.milovenovel.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 46:01. To Dragon Chen's surprise, these creatures are similar to the human race, but they have 3 eyes and teeth as sharp as serrations. They look fierce and evil. They have long hands and feet, and have sharp fingernails that glitter with a metallic sheen and look chilling. These creatures appeared silently and surrounded the dragon dust. Their eyes were full of fierce colors, as if they were going to tear the dragon dust up at any time. Long Chen frowned. He had never seen such creatures, but these creatures had fierce eyes and detestable faces. They were not good at first sight. What surprised Long Chen most was that there was a strong fluctuation of medicine power in these creatures. This fluctuation usually occurred in spirit animals who took precious medicine for a long time. Many clever animals feed on precious drugs, which accumulate a lot of essence of the essence of medicine. Just like the armadillo before, the body can almost be used as medicine. However, the fluctuation of drug power on these creatures is different. Their drug power is not absorbed naturally. It fluctuates because it exceeds the limit of their own drug resistance. In other words, these creatures nourish their bodies with liquid medicine for a long time or take pills in large quantities, so this fluctuation occurs. Although Terrans also take a large number of pills for cultivation, insight, healing, breakthrough, etc., Terrans have unique advantages for pills. As long as they don't take a large number of inferior pills for a long time and clean up the pills regularly, the side effects of pills are small. But these creatures in front of him were different. Long Chen saw at a glance that many creatures had been attacked by erysipelas and would explode and die at any time. Long Chen is not surprised by this phenomenon, but what he is surprised about is that these creatures can't make pills by themselves. What are you looking at? Hand over the baby here, or you will regret coming to this world. Suddenly a creature roared. It turned out that when these creatures came here, they just saw Long Chen squatting on the ground to dig things. They thought they were a step late and were overtaken by Long Chen. Long Chen looked at these creatures and was too lazy to talk nonsense. With a big hand, the roaring creature seemed to be caught in the air by an invisible big hand. Dragon Dust's big hand was empty, the creature screamed, his head burst into pieces, and countless soul fragments flew and were killed in an instant. In fact, that creature is the strongest creature here, but even if it is the strongest, it is just the strength of a 3-star destiny. Even if Long Chen didn't accept the blood exchange, it was easy to kill him. After the blood exchange, Long Chen was much stronger than before. The creature was no different from mole ants in front of Long Chen. Drug slave? Three-eyed clan? Long Chen looked at the soul fragments of the creature, but found that the soul of the creature was extremely chaotic and was in a semi-crazy state. Many soul fragments were blank, as if they were puppets controlled by a group. Kill. When other creatures saw that the creature was killed, the fierce spirit broke out and killed the dragon dust like crazy. The dragon dust roared up to the sky and shook the heaven and earth in the dragon chant. A ripple radiated. The endless creatures of the three-eye family were hit by the ripple and turned into powder in an instant. The power of a roar killed tens of thousands of three-eyed people. At this time, the roar of dragon dust was more terrible than before. Tens of thousands of three-eyed creatures were killed. There was a fishy smell in heaven and earth. There was a fluctuation of medicine power, but there was no trace of medicine fragrance. It's a vicious means to use medicine to control their will, use it for themselves and become puppets. Dragon Dust smelled the smell in the air, with a touch of disgust in his eyes. Although no useful information was found, Long Chen is an alchemy master. At a glance, it can be seen that these three-eyed creatures were controlled by drugs. The person who controls them must be an alchemy master. In Long Chen's opinion, whether it is alchemy to save people or alchemy to kill people, there is no problem. But using pills to control others has a taste of abuse, which is despised. Disgusting means. In Long Chen's mind, there was a whisper that heaven and earth Ding hated. It seemed that he was also very disgusted with this behavior. No, they are drug slaves. Does that mean their master is not far away? Dragon Dust was suddenly surprised. If their master was nearby, it meant that these drug slaves came out to help collect precious drugs. No. You have to act quickly, or the precious medicine will be robbed by others. Dragon Dust acted immediately and sped away straight to the depths. Half an hour later, there was a roar in front. Long Chen saw a giant beast fighting with a group of creatures. Obviously, it was another battle to win the treasure. Among those creatures, there are 5 7-star destiny people. Long Chen doesn't know which race they come from, but from their magical chi, they should have origin with the demon family. Just when they were killing in full swing, the dragon dust appeared silently. The fire lotus broke out. The monster and those creatures were killed by surprise. After the blow, only the giant beast and 5 7-star destiny survived. However, even if he survived, he had only half his life left. The 5 7-star destiny cursed loudly, but he didn't dare to stop for a moment and ran away. The giant beast wanted to run, but it was too clumsy. It was smashed by dragon dust and fell to the ground. Dragon Dust reached out and threw the monster's body into the chaotic space, and dug up a small flower it guarded. Even Dragon Dust didn't have time to identify what level of precious medicine the flower was. After it was sent into the chaotic space, people had galloped away like a meteor. Sneak attack, kill animals, seize treasure and leave at one go. It's so handy that even Long Chen feels that he is a natural robbery genius. Dragon Dust flies forward all the way. At this time, he can't fan search like before. He can only move forward in a straight line, because the deeper he goes, the more precious the baby is. Since the emergence of drug slaves, Long Chen suddenly felt a sense of crisis. Now time is precious medicine, which can't be delayed at all. Boom boom. Long Chen went all the way and saw a fierce battle between a strong man and a giant beast. As long as he looked at these creatures, he directly robbed them. Sometimes when you see that the giant beast is difficult to deal with and cannot be killed with one move, you directly jump at the precious medicine and rob it and leave. It didn't matter that he ran away, but the strong men who besieged the giant beast suffered. The giant beast thought they were a group. After losing their baby, they began to fight hard with these people. Long Chen looked at the group of people who were killed by giant animals and ran around. He listened to their curses. He didn't know why. He felt very happy in his heart. Suddenly, the flying dragon dust stopped, immediately changed its direction, turned to the front left and galloped away, because he sensed the smell of the drug slave again. www.mylovenovel.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4602, Boom. The mountain crumbled. The flying sand walked through the cave and penetrated the void, and a violent beast fell to the ground. Tens of thousands of strong people of the three-eyed clan burst into cheers. They worked together to kill a giant beast. The giant beast was extremely fierce. The three-eyed clan lost many strong people. This victory was hard-won. However, just as they were going to dig out a precious medicine in the giant beast's nest, they saw a man in black coming out of the cave. When they looked behind the man in black, they were not ready to crack, and the precious medicine in the cave had disappeared. Damn thief, take your life! Seeing the hard-earned fruit stolen by others, the eyes of the strong people of the three-eyed clan turned red. Cut, is this stealing? Is this robbing? Dragon dust disdained the tunnel. Kill him, the strong men of the three-eyed clan roared. A 7-star destiny rushed to Long Chen first. As a result, he was slapped in the face by Long Chen as soon as he rushed to Long Chen. Boom! His body hit the ground and plowed the earth out of a big ditch. The strong man who rushed behind him couldn't dodge. Countless people were hit with broken bones and tendons and flew out in a panic. Boom boom. Several other strong men were kicked by Long Chen without even rushing to Long Chen. At that moment, all the strong men of the three-eyed family were surprised and angry. They didn't expect Long Chen to be so strong. In fact, Dragon Dust's strength is only a part. Even if Dragon Dust's strength increases greatly after blood exchange, it won't kick them one by one in the face of 7-star destiny like beating children. But they have too much water. They have the breath of 7-star destiny in the air, and they don't have the strength of 7-star destiny at all. When they shot, the fluctuation of the power of destiny was even worse than some 6-star destiny. Such strength was not enough in front of Dragon Dust. Damn it, you dare to steal from us. If you let the master know, you will cramp and refine your soul. You will never be reborn. A strong man of the three-eyed clan roared. Master? Who is your master? Long Chen asked directly. In fact, this is why he didn't kill them directly. You deserve to know the master's name? Go to hell. A 7-star destiny of the three-eye clan suddenly had a pill in his hand. When he saw the pill, Long Chen couldn't help shrinking his pupils. Ju Ming Dan, really or not? Click! Just when Long Chen couldn't believe it, the man quickly threw the pill into his mouth and directly bit it. Great master, thank you for your mercy and compassion, so that ordinary people can change their lives against the sky and rank among the strong. Today, your servant will repay your grace with his life. Omnipotent Master, your servant is about to fall into reincarnation. May you hear my call. In the afterlife, I am still willing to be your most loyal servant. In Long Chen's disbelief, the strong man of the three-eyed clan prayed piously. At the same time, his whole body was burning, and his essence, Qi and God were all ignited. Crazy? Long Chen couldn't believe it. This man looked crazy and swallowed the Juming pill without hesitation. The so-called Juming pill is one of the most violent poisons. It can make a person give full play to his potential several times or even dozens of times. It is an extremely rebellious pill. But Juming Dan is not an ordinary poison. It is said that the person who swallowed Juming Dan is against the heaven and cannot tolerate the heaven. Therefore, those who swallow Juming Dan have no chance of reincarnation at all. They will be directly strangled by the way of heaven. Dragon Dust is good at Dan, but he has never refined Juming Dan, because it is a taboo that even the great Dan Emperor doesn't touch it. The man in front of him swallowed Juming Dan without hesitation and even talked about the afterlife. Obviously, this guy doesn't know what Juming Dan means. Boom! The man swallowed the Juming pill, his breath soared in an instant, and his blood was ignited. The whole man was burning like a raging fire. He stepped on the void, his claws were like a hook, tore the void, and grabbed the dragon dust in the air. This claw condenses all his power, violent power, and distorts the space constantly. Poof! Just then, the man thought that he could kill the dragon dust with one blow. A big hand covered with scales patted it, even claws with people, and patted it into a blood mist. Clean up some fancy, even if you become 100 times stronger, what's the point? In the blood fog, the dragon dust is cold. The strong man of the Three-Eye clan is not a strong man in itself. He is promoted entirely by pills. Like a paper tiger, he will break with a poke. A paper tiger is a paper tiger. Even if you grow 100 times and 1,000 times, the thickness of your paper remains the same, which makes no sense at all. The strong man of the Three-Eye clan swallowed the Juming pill and was slapped by the dragon dust. However, the other strong men of the Three-Eye clan were not afraid at all and roared and killed one after another. However, it seems that not everyone has Juming Dan. Knowing that they will die, they also rush up, like a group of madmen who are not afraid of death. Puff, puff. In the face of those strong people, Long Chen showed no mercy, slapped one by one, and picked the top strong people of the Three-Eyed family. No one can resist his blow. These people don't seem to know what death means. Their companions are killed one by one. They don't seem to have any feeling. They still rush frantically towards the dragon dust. Their crazy eyes make people shudder. Long Chen's face is indifferent. He knows that these creatures have been completely controlled by drugs. They are like a group of killing machines. Naturally, Long Chen will not give them any mercy and sympathy. However, Long Chen was not in a hurry to kill them all, but took no time to kill the top strong of the Three-Eyed clan. Finally, when Long Chen killed 13 top strong, he suddenly had a feeling. Buzz, suddenly, the third eye of a strong man of the Three-Eye family opened. At the same time, the vision behind him opened and a figure in white appeared. As soon as the figure in white appeared, the temperature of the whole world rose rapidly, the air was ignited, the world began to twist because of the terrible high temperature, and everything became unreal. Master, when the figure in white appeared from the man's vision, the strong man of the Three-Eyed clan who fell into madness at the scene calmed down for a moment, stopped attacking Long Chen and knelt down to the figure in white. You finally appeared. Long Chen looked at the figure in the vision without any panic. It seemed that everything was expected. How dare you? In the vision, the figure in white spoke. It was a man's voice. It sounded young, but in the tone, there was a kind of arrogance that stood high and looked down on all sentient beings. Although I'm not timid, I seem to be a little worse than you. As a Dan Xiu, you fool all sentient beings with pills. Aren't you afraid of retribution? Long Chen looked at the man in white and said coldly, Haha. After listening to Long Chen's words, the man in white looked up and laughed. Karma? It's a stupid question. If you can ask such a question, it means that you and I are not at the same level at all. Go to hell. Buzz, suddenly, the man in white set his hands and the whole world burned. Then the sacred and solemn sound of chanting sounded. When the sound of chanting sounded, Long Chen's eyes were full of murders. www.mylovenovel.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4603, Great Brahma Sutra. To the surprise of Long Chen, the scripture that the man recited was the Great Brahma Sutra. With the sound of chanting, the whole world began to distort, and endless flames rose, enveloping everyone. The flame burned all things, and the strong man of the three-eyed family present turned into ashes in an instant. Only the master of the vision was wrapped by the flame symbol and was not affected by the flame. Dragon Dust was in the endless sea of fire, his eyes were red, his fist was creaking, and the green veins on his forehead kept beating. "Who are you, Brahma?" The sound of dragon dust burst from between his teeth. "Stupid and ignorant mole ants, the taboo of Brahma God, can you call them?" The man in white sneered and seemed to disdain to answer Long Chen's question. Boom! The power of fire between heaven and earth has gathered together to form a sea of purgatory fire. The terrible high temperature has begun to affect not only the flesh of dragon dust, but also the soul of dragon dust. However, the anger in Long Chen's heart was more terrible than the fire outside, because he knew that the man in front of him had a very close relationship with Brahma. And Brahma is his enemy, an enemy he has never seen but can hate to the bone. That hatred seems to last for endless years. "Send your true body, the separation of Brahma disciples. I disdain to kill." Dragon Dust Cold Tunnel. Dragon Dust finally resisted the impulse to blow him up directly, because the man in white is just a separate projection. Killing him makes no sense. What Dragon Dust wants to kill is his own. "What are you, and how dare you be arrogant?" The man in white sneered. He didn't seem to be in a hurry. Instead, he looked down at Long Chen coldly. "It's you who are stupid. You don't know who I am. If you know who I am, you don't dare to talk to me in such a tone." Dragon Dust also sneered. "Oh, you have successfully aroused my interest. For you," the man in white said. "You don't know me, but Brahma knows me." Long Chen looked serious. "Fart, how can my master know you? Unless—" "Impossible, your soul is not reincarnated or sealed at all." The man in white said. "Idiot, the world knows Brahma. I ask you, do you know who Brahma's father is?" Dragon Dust sneered at the tunnel. "This." The man in white was stunned. He was asked by this topic because he didn't know the answer to this question. "You know?" The man in white said. "Of course." "Who is it?" As soon as Long Chen shook his sleeve, he straightened his chest and said, "If you don't change your name, don't change your surname. The father of Brahma is me." Boom! The man in white tied his hands. In the endless flames, fire dragons roared out, and their huge mouths were aimed at the dragon dust. At that moment, the soul of dragon dust was suddenly tightened, and a strong death threat came. At the moment when the mouths of the 8 dragons were aimed at dragon dust was locked at once. It is not the man in white or the flaming dragons who lock the dragon dust, but this world. Buzz, before the dragon dust made any response, the flame dragon spit out flames like a meteor and killed the dragon dust at the same time. At that moment, all the spaces around the dragon dust were sealed and there was no escape. Boom! With a startling explosion, all fireballs burst in front of the dragon dust at the same time. The huge shock wave shattered the void, the law of the road was torn, and endless space-time fragments flew. This is a magic power that destroys heaven and earth. The most terrible thing is that its detonation time is very short. Even the battle-hardened dragon dust can't escape. Buzz, in the constantly twisted space, a black figure flew out of the sea of fire and directly jumped at the white figure. The black figure is dragon dust. At this time, he is covered with blood and embarrassed. If Huolinger didn't help resist most of the damage, he might have been killed by that terrible blow. He underestimated the man in white. His terrible place is not his own power, but his power to detonate the world out of thin air. The power to detonate the world is not terrible. The most terrible thing is that his moves have no signs. This time, even the perception of dragon dust is a little slow. Not dead. Seeing the dragon dust rush out, the man in white seems very surprised. It is reasonable to say that he will never miss this blow. At this time, Long Chen had rushed to him, and the man in white sneered, "It's a narrow escape. You don't run away directly and have to fight with me. You really underestimate your stupidity. You can't hurt me at all, and I can kill you at any time." The man in white snorted coldly. Seeing that the dragon dust had rushed forward, He made a seal with one hand. The sound of chanting scriptures between heaven and earth suddenly changed. Those spreading flames began to condense again and converge into endless fire dragons again. Long Chen ignored those activities. He rushed to the man in white, and a big hand covered with scales ran straight to the man in white's throat. Stupid, the man in white sneered and ignored Long Chen's big hand, because he was not an entity, and Long Chen couldn't catch him at all. While the man in white was ready to continue driving the killing move, Long Chen's big hand had tightly grasped his throat. What? The man in white was shocked. He looked at the dragon dust. He saw that the left eye of the dragon dust had completely turned black, like a black hole, which could devour the starry universe. In the completely blackened eyes, 3 flowers flowed, and the white man's body turned from virtual to real, and was grasped by dragon dust. Soul-refining dragon dust roared, just like the roar of God. The man in white suddenly trembled. His eyes were as infected, and there were 3 flower patterns at the same time. Long Chen's eyes stared at the eyes of the man in white. The 3 flower pupils in his eyes and the 3 flower pupils of the man in white formed a unified running rhythm. Poof! The head of the man in white burst open, and then the whole man turned into light smoke. At the same time, in a distant place, on the top of a high mountain, a white man with white face and long hair shawl suddenly burst into a startling roar. After the man in white roared, a mouthful of blood spewed out. His eyes were red, and there was black blood slowly overflowing from the corners of his eyes. His appearance was very frightening. Damn thing, don't let me find you or you will cramp, peel off the skin, burn the essence and refine your soul. The man in white roared at the sky. Lord Shensi, what happened? The roar of the man in white suddenly alerted countless strong people around. These strong people were all 7-star destiny, and there were thousands of people. Give me orders. Even if you turn the sky upside down, you should find this man for me. The man in white roared, and a picture of a man in black immediately appeared in the minds of all the strong around him. Yes, thousands of strong people disappeared in an instant, and the terrible killing intentions spread in the air. www.milovenovel.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4604, Damn it, dragon dust roared, and the man in white burst open in his hand. His left eye overflowed with blood, and his expression looked ferocious. Just a little, dragon dust was so angry that he blew up the strong man of the 3-eyed clan. The man in white disappeared, so there was no need to keep him. If I hadn't healed my purgatory eye, I would have pulled his real body out. Dragon dust hates tunnel. In the last war with the dark dragon Tianzhao, Long Chen used the purgatory eye to drag the imperial blood silk net into the different space, and the purgatory eye was seriously injured. Although the dragon dust has recovered to some extent in the white dragon ancestral scale space, the purgatory eye is still in the process of self-healing. It is reasonable to say that the eye of purgatory should not be used at this time, but Long Chen has suffered a great loss. How can he care so much? Unfortunately, the eye of purgatory could not give full play, and finally failed to drag out the real body of the man in white. Dragon dust suffered such a big loss for the first time, but he couldn't do anything to his opponent. Dragon dust's lungs were going to explode. If it was someone else, dragon dust might be tolerable, but that person was a disciple of Brahma, which he couldn't accept. What karma is the stupidest question? Wait and I will let you know what cause and effect is and what stupidity is. Long Chen took a deep breath and suppressed his anger. Your temper is really hot enough. The sound of the heaven and earth tripod was full of banter. Long Chen was stunned at first, and then his eyes turned. Elder, did you lead me here for him? Don't say. The heaven and earth tripod is secretive. Long Chen was angry, but when he heard the words of heaven and earth ding, Long Chen calmed down for a moment. The heaven and earth tripod brought him here not just to collect precious medicine. The appearance of the man in white was by no means accidental. However, Chen Kuan-ding refused to say, and Long Chen didn't ask more. He took out the eye mask given to him by Bai Shaole's mother and put up the left eye mask. In this way, Long Chen became a one-eyed dragon again. However, although the appearance is ugly, the eye mask is a healing instrument specially made for pupil surgery. After wearing it, the eyes don't hurt so much and it's cool and very comfortable. The eye mask has healing effect, which can't be achieved by the pill. Long Chen can only take it temporarily until his eyes completely recover. Master, do you know the Great Brahma Sutra? Dragon Dust asked. The first fire of 9 days and 10 places is scripture, and no one knows it. Heaven and Earth Ding Dao. Is the scripture that guy just recited the 7th volume? Dragon Dust asked again. Yes, this time, the Heaven and Earth tripod answered very simply. Long Chen nodded. So far, he has only touched the first 6 volumes of the Great Brahma Sutra, and the 6th volume is meaningless to Long Chen. Because the 6th volume of the Great Brahma Sutra has only scriptures, not to mention the space for scripture transmission. Although Lingshao Academy has collected 8 volumes of Brahma Sutra, no one can practice from volume 6 to volume 8, even Dragon Dust is no exception. The scriptures in volume 6 are awkward, obscure and unclear. They can't be recited at all. The chanting of the Great Brahma Sutra must be accurate, and the tone must not be at all wrong. Otherwise, the power of attracting the flame between heaven and earth will instantly get out of control. Long Chen was injured several times and almost killed himself. Later, he didn't dare to try easily. However, although Long Chen did not master the 6th volume of the Great Brahma Sutra, if others recite it, Long Chen can still distinguish it. However, Long Chen has never heard of the Great Brahma Sutra recited by the man in white, which shows that this section of the Great Brahma Sutra must not be the first 6 volumes, so Long Chen has this question. Master, is there a complete Brahma Sutra here? Suddenly, Long Chen jumped up from the ground and was excited. Guess. This time, the Heaven and Earth tripod also had no positive answer. Haha. Long Chen looked up and laughed. Although the Heaven and Earth tripod didn't answer, Long Chen already knew the answer. Long Chen's heart is full of excitement. If he can get the complete Brahma Sutra, he can also control the flame power of a world like the man in white. Before, Long Chen was angry, some were angry and some were jealous. The disciples of Brahma could control the higher Brahma Sutra, which was unacceptable to him. At the thought that there might be a complete Brahma Sutra here, Long Chen was filled with emotion. Because of the strength of the man in white, Long Chen saw the tip of the iceberg of the Brahma Sutra. You should take care of yourself first. That guy was hurt by your purgatory eye. He looks like a narrow-minded man. He is more anxious for revenge than you. You should be careful. Heaven and Earth Ding Dao. Everyone is injured. If you find me, you can have a fair war. Even without the Great Brahman Sutra, I have the same confidence to kill him. Dragon Dust Road. You speak a little too much. Although you have dragon blood and strong flesh, you don't know how strong the Great Brahman Sutra is. If you meet him now, you have all your strength and can't exert it. What you know about the Great Brahma Sutra is just the tip of the iceberg. Besides, even if you are not afraid of him, do you know how many drug slaves he has? Heaven and Earth Ding asked. This. The words of Heaven and Earth Ding stopped Long Chen. Drug slave is a mean means, but it is also a terrible word. Drug slaves are crazy and loyal to their masters. There is nothing they can't do. Although the Heaven and Earth tripod said that the man in white was extremely strong, Long Chen was not afraid of him, but if he fought with him and came up with a large number of drug slaves, it would be fatal. Drug slave? Wait. Long Chen suddenly thought of something and quickly immersed his mind in the chaotic space, but Long Chen found that there were not so many Tiandao fruits on the Tiandao tree. He killed so many 7-star destiny people, but a 7-star destiny fruit didn't appear. Long Chen suddenly understood. These emotional drug slaves are pseudo-heavenly beings urged by pills. They are not really recognized by the way of heaven. Therefore, after their death, the tree of the way of heaven cannot bear the fruit of the way of heaven. Shit, I thought you were so great. You can only create a false destiny, while I can create a true destiny. Dragon Dust sneers. The mind withdrew from the chaotic space. Long Chen chose to listen to the words of the heaven and earth tripod and find a place to heal. If it is a general injury, it can be recovered instantly with the power of the chaotic space. However, the attack of the man in white is an attack on the dragon dust with the energy of heaven and earth triggered by the Great Brahma Sutra. The damage caused by this contains the laws and will of heaven and earth. If it is someone else, this injury may cause permanent and irreversible damage. It took dragon dust 3 hours to fully recover from the injury. It has to be said that the flesh of dragon dust is really terrible. If other people suffer such an attack, even if they don't die on the spot, they will be hurt all their life by the law of heaven and will. Xiuwei won't want to be promoted all his life. Long Chen recovered from his injury without stopping. He galloped all the way to the depths in the direction of the heaven and earth tripod. www.milovenival.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4605. Long Chen didn't continue to search for Jinyao. He knew that there was something more important waiting for him than Jinyao. Moreover, with the disciples of Brahma as competitors, Long Chen dare not neglect it at all. Brother Long Chen, I'm sorry. I was slow at that time and didn't come out to help you at the first time. Huolinger came with an apologetic voice. At the moment when the disciples of Brahma launched the attack, she didn't react and hurt Long Chen. She felt very guilty. If she could fight early, even if it was passive defense, Long Chen wouldn't be hurt so badly, so she blamed herself. Whether it is Huolinger or Lei Linger, their power belongs to themselves. Spiritual bodies like them that control their power almost never appear, because any master will never allow their own spiritual objects to control their power. On the one hand, it is because of danger, and on the other hand, it will be delayed when controlled. After all, the power of others is not their own power, and it takes a transmission time to use it. If you plant a slave seal on the spirit body, it will be different. All the power of the spirit body is its own. As long as you want to use it, the spirit body can't refuse. Then the power of the spirit body, that is, its own power, will explode with its own life instinct. But Huolinger and Lei Linger are different. Although their souls are connected with dragon dust, their instinctive reaction must be a little worse. Because of this difference, when the attack of the man in white broke out, Huolinger didn't have time to respond, which injured Long Chen, so he felt extremely remorse. Silly girl, it's not your fault. Our cooperation is almost seamless. I don't believe in induction delay. I think the reason why you are slow is related to that guy's Brahma Sutra. Dragon Dust comforted. Really? When Long Chen said this, Huolinger was overjoyed. She and Lei Linger are connected with the soul of Long Chen. They trust each other and cooperate with each other. They are as smooth as hands and fingers. Therefore, even if Long Chen doesn't plant a slave seal, their strength is still common. For the first time, the phenomenon of delayed response appeared. Long Chen never doubted the cooperation between himself and Huolinger. What he suspected for the first time was that the guy's Brahma Sutra affected Huolinger. Huolinger should not be influenced by the Great Brahma Sutra in his chaotic space. However, the Great Brahma Sutra is the first fire sutra in 9 days and 10 places. The heaven and earth tripod says it is extremely terrible, so there is nothing impossible. According to the dragon dust calculation, either when the Great Brahma Sutra rings, as long as you hear its voice, you will be affected by it. It can penetrate any time and space, even chaotic space. Of course, there is also a possibility that the dragon dust is greatly affected by the Great Brahma Sutra, which limits the dragon dust's perception and application of fire. Because dragon dust is the main body of Huolinger's link to the outside world. If dragon dust is affected, Huolinger will also be affected. But anyway, Long Chen finally saw the tip of the iceberg of the Great Brahma Sutra, which was enough to make Long Chen excited and look forward to the Great Brahma Sutra. Long Chen went all the way and saw countless strong men, either attacking openly or stealing secretly, attacking the beasts in various regions one after another. The more forward, the stronger the strength of the beasts. Long Chen saw a strange walking dragon that he had never seen before. He breathed out and killed tens of thousands of powerful people who won the treasure in an instant. Even the 7-star destiny was directly killed, and there was no chance to escape. It should be noted that the 7-star destiny mentioned here is a real strong man, not a pseudo-destiny like a drug slave. While the local dragon killed the strong, the dragon dust broke into its territory and stole a jujube-shaped fruit. The local dragon was furious and killed at the dragon dust. The dragon dust didn't want to entangle with it and ran away directly. The local dragon didn't dare to leave the territory, roared a few times and returned to his territory. Along the way, Long Chen met many precious drugs he didn't know. Whether he knew it or not, he would rather kill the wrong one. However, in order to get on the road, Long Chen didn't go to join the fun even if there was news in other places. He only took the shot when it was convenient to take the shot on his own route. However, on the way forward, Long Chen did not meet the strong man of the Three-Eye family again, but felt the smell of some suspected drug slaves. However, Long Chen didn't pay attention to them, but ran straight ahead. A few days later, Long Chen suddenly found that the whole world began to be quiet. He couldn't hear the roar of beasts or see the figure of practitioners. The whole world is quiet and scary. There is a dangerous smell in the air, which makes people feel extremely depressed. Even the dragon dust who has experienced hundreds of wars also feels the soul trembling. Looks like there's something terrible in here. Long Chen looked at the clouds ahead and couldn't see far. No one knew what was hidden in the clouds. Long Chen couldn't help muttering to himself. Just now, I could hear the roar of the strong and the roar of giant animals. Here, all the voices seemed to be cut off by a knife. The silence was a little strange. However, no matter how dangerous it is, Long Chen must rush forward for the Great Brahman Sutra. Especially considering that the disciples of the Great Brahman Sutra are likely to come for the Great Brahman Sutra, Long Chen must not shrink back. When Long Chen stepped into the fog, he immediately felt his hair stand up suddenly, and strong danger surged into his heart. At that moment, he seemed to have stepped into the field of death. In the endless mist, the sole perception of dragon dust is compressed to only thousands of miles, and the line of sight can only reach hundreds of miles. Sensing thousands of miles is very broad, but the giant animals here are often thousands of miles or even tens of thousands of miles in size. This distance can't provide people with any sense of security at all. Click. There was a light sound at the foot of dragon dust. Dragon dust found that the ground was a desert instead of green stones and grass. The desert is white. What shocked dragon dust most is that the desert is sand, but it is still white bone particles. What dragon dust just stepped on was a white bone, which was covered with runes. Obviously, the strength of the owner of the white bone was absolutely extraordinary, otherwise the runes would not be so dense. Now this white bone is extremely fragile. It has been broken into slag when touched gently. The rune on this white bone is blood red, which shows that the owner of this white bone has not died for a long time and will never exceed 10 days. However, now, it seems that it has been weathered for millions of years, which is not in line with common sense. Dragon dust became more cautious. Obviously, someone has touched here in advance. In the face of such an unknown world, those who still dare to move forward are definitely not ordinary people. Dragon dust walked slowly along the desert. Suddenly, in the endless mist, a strange python appeared silently and went straight to dragon dust's neck. www.milovenovel.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4606. It's not a strange python, but a section of vines. The vines are covered with honeycombed holes. They look very scary. The vine appeared silently and slowly approached the dragon dust. Its body swung with the steps of the dragon dust. Its position was the perception dead corner of the dragon dust. Although people's perception is omnidirectional in theory, nothing is absolute. Even if it is omnidirectional perception, it can be strong or weak. People have a perceptual blind area. Taking the chest as the center, extending parallel to the back, passing through the spine and then a straight line outward is the perceptual blind area. In addition, the blind spot is biased to the left rear and right rear, which is also the perceptual blind area. These three perceptual blind areas are the places most easily targeted by killers. Because if these 3 points are attacked, people's reaction speed is the slowest. Therefore, general killers will choose one of these 3 points for sneak attack. And the vine born out of thin air, like a strange python, slowly approached the blind area behind the dragon dust from the void. Its swing frequency is consistent with the step frequency of dragon dust, which keeps it always in the blind area of perception and presents an invisible state. Brother Longchen. Shoo, I see it. Dragon dust told Hualinger not to talk, which would distract him. From the moment that the vine appeared, the dragon dust had sensed its existence. Except for the Great Brahma Sutra, there was little power to deceive the perception of the 9-star Ba Tiju. However, the dragon dust didn't want to disturb it, so he led it slowly close to himself. This is a powerful creature, but the dragon dust can't feel its breath, which shows that the vine is just testing, and its noumenon is not here. It turns out that Brother Longchen is going to be bad again. Hualinger couldn't help laughing. Longchen walked carefully all the way, looked back from time to time, and his body kept swinging. No matter how Longchen turned his body, the vine in the cloud always stayed in the blind area of Longchen's perception, and he could not see it. When the vine with thick and thin arms was only about a foot away from Longchen, Longchen suddenly stopped, and at the moment when Longchen stopped, the vine also stopped. Dragon dust seemed to feel something. His body turned rapidly, and the vine also turned rapidly with dragon dust. Dragon dust couldn't see it all the time. Longchen seemed to relax and move on. At the moment when he took his steps, the vine suddenly accelerated and entangled Longchen's neck for a moment. Dragon dust exclaimed. The speed of the vine was too fast. When it wrapped around dragon dust's neck, it suddenly dragged dragon dust under the sand. Dragon dust kept struggling and was soon submerged by the sand. The original traces of struggle slowly disappeared, and the earth returned to its original shape. Boom! Dragon dust was dragged underground by great force and kept struggling. Scales appeared all over his body. At this time, the scales creaked. It turned out that there were countless small holes on the vines. When the vines were wrapped around the dragon dust, sharp spikes were born in those small holes. The sharp stab on the dragon scale made a creaking sound. The hard dragon scale was marked with white marks. Dragon dust can't help but be surprised. Even if his dragon scale is cut by immortal magic soldiers, it won't leave any trace. Who would have thought that the vine could produce a sharp blade as sharp as a divine weapon? If dragon dust hadn't been replaced with blood, the power of dragon armor would have been greatly improved and couldn't resist the terrible spike. The spikes were dark red, and there was a viscous liquid attached to them. The liquid smelled fishy. At first glance, it was highly toxic. If it invaded the body, dragon dust felt that even his own flesh might not be able to resist it. Dragon dust struggled madly and was just dragged into the ground. Suddenly, dozens of vines wrapped around him at the same time, bound dragon dust firmly and dragged him to the endless underground. The soil under the earth is very soft, all of which are white bone dust. No matter how dragon dust struggles, it still can't change the fate of being dragged deep underground. Boom! With a bang, the dragon dust was dragged into an underground world along a channel. Here, tens of thousands of miles underground, it formed a strange hollow place. The space is huge. There are roots like strange python everywhere. They support the underground space. The underground space is extremely clean. In the core area, there is a blood pool. In the center of the blood pool, there is a brilliant divine glow like the sun, lighting up the space. Archaic alien, big sunflower? When he saw the sunflower rotating like a sun, the dragon dust's eyes would protrude, and he recognized the legendary divine medicine. The great sunflower only exists in legend. It is said that it was born in the Archaic era and is unique in the Archaic era. No one has seen it since the Archaic era. Big sunflower is the most powerful medicine for young. It is one of the representatives of positive medicine and the strongest medicine for refining yang pill. Big sunflower looks no different from ordinary sunflowers, but its flower plate can bloom the brilliance of the sun. Each melon seed on the flower plate is a peerless treasure. Any strong male, regardless of race, eating one can stimulate strong male energy. It can not only improve physical strength and endurance several times, but also stimulate the speed of blood awakening. In addition to these, it also has an extremely adverse effect, that is, it can treat male infertility. We should know that the stronger the strength of practitioners, the lower the probability of reproduction, and the main responsibility for whether they can reproduce lies with the male. Of course, this is also the law of heaven. If a holy king and strong man can reproduce like ordinary people, marry dozens of wives and have dozens of children every year, each child is gifted, the world will be in chaos. Therefore, some immortal strong people, tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years, may not be able to reproduce a child, which shows how difficult it is. But the big sunflower has an ability against the sky, which will greatly increase the probability of reproduction. Apart from this, the big sunflower is already a priceless treasure that countless strong people dream of. Boom! Endless tentacles pulled Long Chen closer to the blood pool. Long Chen was still struggling desperately, trying to show his extreme fear, but there was no way. Buzz, at this time, the blood pool was boiling, and then a huge head slowly appeared. Before the dragon dust could see its face, it opened its big mouth and sucked fiercely. Dragon Dust's body suddenly got out of control and was sucked into the huge mouth. At the moment when Dragon Dust entered the big mouth, Dragon Dust cut off drinking and burst out of blood gas. Thunder and fire kill the world. Dragon Dust broke his drink, left hand thunder and right hand flame. The two forces were erupted at the same time. www.milovenovel.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4607, Boom. At the moment when the dragon dust detonated the two forces, the big mouth suddenly spit out the dragon dust, and the reaction speed of the strange creature is fast to the extreme. However, under the interweaving of thunder and fire, the huge force still blew the huge mouth into flesh and blood. A strange roar came, and the huge head shrank into the blood pool, and the big sunflower in the middle of the blood pool began to sink slowly. At the moment when the big sunflower sank, the dragon dust flashed, reached out and grabbed it, pulled it hard, and the big sunflower was uprooted by the dragon dust. At the moment when the dragon dust pulled out the big sunflower, the whole blood god pool burst open, and the violent atmosphere swept all directions. The huge head stretched out from the blood pool again, and a blood light column came straight to the dragon dust. Dragon dust turned sideways to avoid the bloody light column, and a startling explosion broke out. The bloody light column directly penetrated the dome. Dragon dust has just sent the sunflower into the chaotic space, and endless tentacles shoot out of the blood pool and shoot at dragon dust. At this time, Long Chen found that it was a monster with octopus head but hundreds of millions of roots. It should be a tree demon, but Long Chen couldn't say its name. The dragon dust took away the sunflower, and the tree demon became violent in an instant. It roared and its tentacles shrouded like a snare. Do I need to be afraid of you when I get the sunflower? With a sneer from the dragon dust, the whole Bodhi's chi and blood burst out, and the sound of the dragon chanted loudly. The violent air waves rolled out, and the underground world burst open in an instant. Boom! Countless tentacles were forcibly broken by the dragon dust. The dragon dust broke off drinking with a sound. In the vision behind, a covered dragon claw roared down. Bang! With a bang, the huge dragon claw grabbed the tree demon's head, and the violent force directly pinched and exploded the tree demon's head. Gee! The tree demon uttered a strange scream and his head burst to pieces, but his tentacles, like strange python, drilled into the earth. Dragon dust didn't expect that the tree demon lost his head and didn't die. He broke up and ran away. Boom! Just when Long Chen thought that the tree demon had been badly hurt and had fled from himself, suddenly the earth burst open and a head bigger than a mountain rushed out of the ground. Dragon dust couldn't help but be startled. It turned out that the mother of the tree demon was still below. It was probably its child that dragon dust injured just now. Buzz, the huge head broke the earth, followed by thousands of miles of golden vines, like the whip of God, fiercely pulled at the dragon dust. Boom! Facing the golden vines, Long Chen fought back with his fist. There was a loud noise. In the billowing air wave, the golden vines burst into pieces, and Long Chen also snorted, which made his blood surge. Boom! The golden tree demon was furious, and endless golden vines were drawn in the air, and the whole world would be crushed. Good guy, this is the existence of Saint King level. When he saw this scene, Long Chen's face changed. He could not imagine that such a terrible existence was hidden underground. Let's do it together. Long Chen sees the situation and stops drinking. Lei Linger and Hua Linger appear together. They face the endless golden vine at the same time. Boom boom. The thunder was bright, the flames roared and exploded. In the earthquake, dragon dust, fire spirit and thunder spirit rushed out of the cover of endless vines and killed them. The golden blood scattered in the sky is like golden raindrops. When the rain drops on the ground and burns the earth out of deep pits, the blood of the tree demon is extremely toxic. Boom! The three of the dragon dust just rushed out of the blockade of the golden vine, and the earth burst open, and countless bloody tree demons rushed out. The tree demon was the small tree demon who sneaked on the dragon dust and introduced the dragon dust into the ground. Don't pester, rush out together. When Long Chen saw this scene, he couldn't help but be awed. Originally, Long Chen thought that the tree demon was a mother and a son, but he didn't expect that the tree demon had millions of children. If you are entangled by them, even if the dragon dust has the power of connecting heaven and earth, it will be consumed here. Boom! The three broke out at the same time and made crazy moves. The big move was thrown out like no money. After half an hour, they fought hundreds of millions of miles, and finally got rid of the entanglement of the tree demon. Dragon dust escaped from the desert and came to a jungle. Finally, he had a chance to catch his breath. At the edge of this jungle, dragon dust didn't dare to go deep. The desert is the site of the tree demon, and who knows if there is any more terrible guy guarding this forest. Taking advantage of not disturbing the guys inside, Long Chen needs to recover his strength as soon as possible. Not only does Long Chen want to recover, but also Hua Linger and Lei Linger consume a lot. The golden tree demon was terrible. The tendril-like vines were almost endless, cutting off one batch after another. Fortunately, the power of Lei Linger and Hua Linger can restrain the power of the tree demon. Their sharp blades can have great destructive power on the vine. But even so, their consumption is amazing. If the golden tree demon can persist for another hour, the three of them will eventually be exhausted, and then they will really be finished. Elder, what kind of monster is that? Why is it so difficult? Dragon dust couldn't help asking. It's a ghost camphor tree demon. It's an undead creature. It's fierce and cunning. Its mother is hidden deep underground. Most of them use their own sun spirits to fight. The so-called child spirit is the thing that started to shoot you. In fact, it is not the child of the ghost camphor tree demon. You can understand it as a puppet. It stared at you at the beginning. You deliberately showed weakness. I thought you knew its nature and mixed it into its nest. Heaven and earth ding dao. Long Chen smiled bitterly. I don't know what ghost camphor tree demon is. I think that thing secretly wants to attack me. I think it has no ability at all, so I just want to test it. But I didn't expect that its body was so terrible. If it weren't for their help, I would be in danger today. It comes from the undead family. No wonder it is so powerful. I just don't know how they relate to the undead Ming Willow family. The undead people have both higher and lower creatures. The ghost camphor tree demon is a lower creature. They have nothing to do with the undead Ming Willow people. Heaven and earth ding dao. Is the strength of lower creatures so terrible? Dragon dust couldn't help exclaiming. You misunderstood. The so-called higher and lower has nothing to do with strength, but refers to the level of wisdom. Just like the ghost camphor tree demon, even if its strength is strong, you can easily kill it, can't you? Heaven and earth ding dao. That's true. I was caught off guard by it before. If you give me some time, I have many ways to kill it. At the same time, he also understood that this is the definition of higher and lower in Qiankuan Ding. Senior, what level is that guy? Dragon Dust asked. In terms of your Terran level, it is the realm of God. Heaven and Earth Ding Dao. What? Hearing the words of the Heaven and Earth tripod, Long Chin opened his mouth. www.milovenival.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4608, Only one level higher than me? Dragon Dust can't believe it. According to the feeling of Dragon Dust, the guy's terror can almost challenge the Holy King. So, the lower creatures also have terrible places. The ghost camphor tree demon's blood is very old, and its strength can't be underestimated. Heaven and Earth Ding Dao. Dragon Chin was surprised. It seems that he should be more careful. Just entering this area, he met the ghost camphor tree demon. I don't know how many terrible things are waiting for him. We can't be careless. It's not fun. However, while shocked, Long Chen also felt a deep sense of frustration. In the past, he could easily fight at 2 levels. Now he can only flee in embarrassment in the face of a god-respected ghost camphor tree demon, which makes him some unacceptable. In fact, you don't have to be surprised because the survival times are different, and the gap is huge. 9 days and 10 places, in the chaotic era is the peak of this era, and then it began to decline. Although every subsequent era has its own ZT era, the so-called ZT is just a small fluctuation in the process of decline. 9 days and 10 places have been declining, just like a ladder, and your era is at the bottom of the ladder. It's not that you're not good enough, but that you didn't catch up with a good era. It's very unfair for you, a man of the end of the law, to meet creatures with ancient blood. The Heaven and Earth tripod saw the loss of Dragon Dust and comforted him. Although I know this truth, I always feel unhappy. In fact, I can't beat it, but I don't have a weapon. Dragon Dust shook his head. At this time, the shadow of the Keel Evil Moon reappeared in his mind. When he had the Keel Evil Moon in hand, he had never suffered such cowardice. But it's no use crying without a weapon. Long Chen has almost rested. He wants to go back and kill the ghost camphor tree demon. Before Long Chen was killed, he was caught off guard. He forgot that in the face of the ghost camphor tree demon, he had another mace that was useless, that was the black earth in the chaotic space. As long as Dragon Dust can arrange a trap, if he has a mental calculation, he has a great chance to kill it. However, it was stopped by the Heaven and Earth tripod because the ghost camphor tree demon was very cunning and cautious. It was also seriously injured in the war with Dragon Dust just now. It will hide and heal. Even in its heyday, it rarely started with people face to face, let alone after being injured, it will be more cautious. In addition, the big sunflower is taken away by the Dragon Dust. There is no place it yearns for. According to the calculation of the Heaven and Earth tripod, it will find a place to heal, and then attack other creatures and seize the treasures they protect. In the words of Heaven and Earth tripod, you have robbed other people's treasures. What can't be angry? Dragon Dust thought it was the first hand of the ghost camphor tree demon, but Dragon Dust grabbed the big sunflower, which was definitely blood. When he thought of the big sunflower, Long Chen immediately became excited and looked at the chaotic space. He saw that after the big sunflower entered the chaotic space, the divine light on the flower plate flowed and full of vitality. Long Chen looked at the flower plate and found that the melon seeds inside were golden, full, bright, and fully mature. Dragon Dust pulls out a melon seed and puts it in his hand. The melon seed is made of gold, which is covered with strange lines, just like an exquisite handicraft. Peel off the melon seeds and immediately smell strong fragrance. Send the melon seed pulp to the mouth. After chewing, the teeth and cheeks produce fragrance. The aroma is connected with heaven and elixir fields. At the same time, Long Chen felt his whole body full of qi and blood for a moment, and the whole person became lively and energetic. Good guy, this is a natural divine pill. Shit, I knew it was so magical. I could definitely kill the ghost camphor tree demon by eating a few melon seeds. Long Chen was so regretful that he patted his thigh. Dragon Dust found that sometimes he was really stupid. He couldn't think of many things. If he could kill the ghost camphor tree demon and harvest its body, It would definitely be a treasure. Dragon Dust looked at it. There were 999 melon seeds. Dragon Dust picked them all, and the big sunflower withered immediately. But it doesn't matter. The seeds have been obtained, so there's nothing to be afraid of. Longshan took out 500 melon seeds and planted them directly. However, melon seeds did not take root and germinate as quickly as Longshan expected. However, this is also normal. It is a big sunflower, a legendary baby. The growth period is absolutely amazing. It doesn't matter if he grows slowly. He only needs enough corpses to ripen them, and the melon seeds in his hand are enough for him to use for a period of time. Click! Longchen couldn't help throwing another melon seed into his mouth. It's delicious. It's addictive. Eating a melon seed is refreshing, energetic, and full of strength. Longchen was so frightened that he quickly put them away. He was afraid that he couldn't help eating them up. It was really a terrible thing. Big sunflower is really precious. You're lucky. With it, you can refine more high-grade pills. Heaven and Earth Ding Dao. Obviously, even the Heaven and Earth tripod is very optimistic about the sun god sunflower. The most important thing is that Longshan can plant it like a crop. Soon he will have a sunflower garden. After eating 2 melon seeds, Longshan was energetic and full of spirit. He was in an unprecedented good state, so he started immediately and continued to walk forward. However, this time, Longshan was more careful. Just entering this area, he encountered a terrible tree demon. There must be a more terrible existence in it. Dragon Dust was moving forward. Suddenly, Dragon Dust's scalp tightened. Then in the endless mist, Dragon Dust sensed that a pair of huge eyes were looking at him. The eyes were full of warning. The Dragon Dust was cold in his heart. In the mist, it could not see the owner of the eyes, but the other party could see him clearly. Although this does not mean that the strength of the creature is stronger than that of Dragon Dust, it lives here. This is its home. It has found Dragon Dust. If it fights with it, it is difficult for Dragon Dust to take advantage of it. The creature did not attack him rashly like the tree demon. Obviously, it also felt that the Dragon Dust was not easy to provoke. Such a strong perception shows that its strength must be above the tree demon. Longchen walked along the edge of the creature's territory. Sure enough, the creature didn't fight Longchen. Longchen continued to move forward. Along the way, Longchen met countless terrible creatures. Their breath is more powerful than the tree demon. I don't know how many times. Dragon Dust even has an impulse to retreat. Dragon Dust can't see these creatures, but can feel their terrible pressure. Dragon Dust can only move forward carefully between them. Those creatures also saw the Dragon Dust, but they either looked coldly or shouted a warning, but they didn't give a hand to the Dragon Dust. Damn it, Longchen walked all the way forward for 3 days. The more he walked forward, the more numb his scalp became. Along the way, he saw too many terrible creatures, and every creature could pose a fatal threat to him. If Longchen starts with these creatures, even if he has 100 lives, he will have to leave here. But for the sake of the Great Brahma Sutra, Longchen had to go forward. Finally, on the 7th day, the fog disappeared and the whole world became sunny. Here is. When Longchen looked into the distance, he couldn't help jumping wildly. There was a temple in front of him. www.milovenovel.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 4609. This is a vast expanse of temples, but most of them have collapsed. There are ruins everywhere, a dilapidated scene. But the scattered green bricks, collapsed residual walls and broken red tiles still can't hide its sacred and magnificent breath. Even if it has declined, it is still a miracle, sacred and inviolable. It is awe-inspiring to see it, and Longchen's heart doesn't know why, showing a touch of bitterness. In Longchen's mind, a similar picture emerged. In the picture, there are many palaces, magnificent buildings, and countless figures shuttle back and forth in the temple. It seems that Longchen can still hear the sound of chanting scriptures, the severe scolding of his tutors, and the whispering of his disciples in private. At that moment, the dragon dust seemed to travel through time and space and see its past. However, soon, the pictures and sounds in his mind gradually disappeared and replaced by the desolation and decay in front of him. Have I ever been here? Long Chen looked at the dilapidated scene in front of him and couldn't help muttering to himself. Long Chen is like a wanderer away from home. Many years later, when he returns to his hometown, it is already a vicissitudes of life. Things are right and people are wrong. That kind of bitterness can't be described in words. He walked out of the jungle carefully. When the dragon dust stepped into the scope of the temple, the temperature of the space suddenly rose rapidly. At that moment, the dragon dust seemed to be in a Dan furnace. Dragon dust was surprised and then stepped back. When he stepped back, the terrible high temperature disappeared in an instant. It seems that there is an invisible boundary in space. One step forward is the furnace, and one step backward is the calm world. Dragon dust stepped into the boundary of the temple again, and bursts of heat waves hit. However, for the heat wave, dragon dust didn't feel any discomfort, but felt very comfortable. Dragon dust moves forward slowly. This temple is huge, bigger than a state. Dragon dust walks in endless broken stones and bricks. Looking down from the void, dragon dust looks so small. Long Chen walked carefully for a long time before finally reaching the periphery of the temple. Here, Long Chen saw the collapsed huge city wall. Where Long Chen walked, there was no door, and most of the huge city walls had collapsed. Along a gap, Long Chen entered the city. When he crossed the city wall, dragon dust immediately felt that the temperature of the whole world increased again, and the fire energy between heaven and earth became more active. Refining pills here is twice the result with half the effort. Dragon dust felt the active flame fluctuation and couldn't help sighing. The fire energy here is very active, but not violent. It's easiest to refine elixir here. Unfortunately, Long Chen doesn't have time to refine pills now. He continues to walk carefully through the city wall. In front of him is a collapsed palace. The roof of the palace lay on the ground, like a corpse, sinking quietly in the years. Long Chen took a look around, confirmed that there was no movement around and didn't feel any danger, and walked in slowly. Inside the collapsed palace, there were broken blue brick columns everywhere, but nothing else. What's the situation? Even if someone takes away the baby, it should leave a trace? Dragon dust came in and suddenly felt something wrong. There's nothing in it. It's like everything was removed before the collapse. Long Chen carefully checked the blue brick stone column, pinched it in his hand, and with a little force, it was crushed into powder. The divine power has long disappeared and the rune has long disappeared, but it can resist the erosion of years. What power protects them? Looking at the powder in his hand, Long Chen can't believe it. Although he doesn't know the origin of this temple, its breath tells Long Chen that its history is unimaginable. Dragon dust didn't rush in, but looked around, hoping to find something through clues. Unfortunately, most of the buildings here have collapsed, but it seems that they have collapsed naturally instead of being damaged by external forces. No matter inside or outside the building, Long Chen didn't find anything valuable. Dragon dust also saw many signs of turning. Obviously, some people have come here to look for it before, but it seems that they also got nothing. Long Chen didn't hurry to explore the core area of the temple. He always felt that something was calling him near here. Dragon dust continuously looked for hundreds of collapsed buildings. Suddenly, dragon dust moved in his heart. Dragon dust came to the front of a building and dug away the broken bricks and tiles with his bare hands. Dragon dust, like a burrowing mole, went deep into the ground for hundreds of miles. Suddenly, dragon dust couldn't dig, and a thick rock wall appeared below. The rock wall was hard and unparalleled, and there were mysterious symbols on it. Dragon dust took out an immortal magic weapon and stabbed it on the rock wall. The rock wall was healthy, but the immortal magic weapon burst out a gap. "Elder, do me a favor," Dragon dust said to the heaven and earth tripod. This time, the heaven and earth tripod did not refuse dragon dust. It incarnated 3 feet high and hit the rock wall gently. Bang! With a light sound, countless runes on the rock wall were dimmed instantly, and then the rock wall was covered with cracks. Long Chen pulled it with his hand and immediately turned into powder. The rock wall is not thick, only 1 foot. Through the rock wall, Long Chen came to an underground room, where there is a secret room. The secret room is not big, only a few feet of space. In the corner of the secret room, there is a skeleton. From the skeleton, it is a woman. The skeleton held a book in his hand. People have turned into withered bones, but the book is intact. Is she calling me? Dragon Dust came to the skeleton and couldn't help wondering. When he came here, the meaning of the call disappeared. Long Chen slowly stretched out his hand and was about to take the book in the woman's hand, but it was stopped by the heaven and earth tripod. That book can only be read in her hand. Once it leaves her hand, it will instantly turn into nothingness. Dragon Dust was surprised, quickly stopped his action, changed to turn, and slowly opened the first page of the book. When looking at the first page, the vast power of qi and blood came to his face, and Long Chen's heart jumped wildly. This is the breath of the Holy King's blood essence. The woman was actually a strong man of the Holy King. When Long Chen saw the above words, his heart suddenly tightened, because it was written in immortal words. I didn't expect that my most respected and worshipped Brahma would betray Dante one day, and my world collapsed. Is it about Brahma? Is this the inheritance of the Dante? Dragon Dust's heart jumped wildly. Long Chen had just finished reading the words on this page, and the words on the paper slowly disappeared. It seemed that there was some power to erase it. Long Chen quickly opened the second page and saw that the bloody words did not appear again, but a bloody picture scroll appeared. There was a flower on the scroll. When he saw the flower, Long Chen couldn't help exclaiming, "Exquisite blood magnolia, www. Milovenival. Com, the fastest update of the web novel." Chapter 46, 10. The pattern is drawn in blood. After years of erosion, it is still bright. Dragon Dust can see at a glance that it is exquisite blood magnolia. This is the second time that Long Chen has seen the pattern of exquisite blood magnolia. At Lingshao Academy, Long Chen saw it in the Temple of Dan Academy. When Yu Qingxian resisted the attack for the dragon dust in the world and died, Linglong blood magnolia appeared and took Yu Qingxian away. Long Chen once asked Yu Qingxian, but Yu Qingxian's memory of this period has completely disappeared. He even heard the name of Linglong blood magnolia without any fluctuation. Now, Linglong blood magnolia appears again. Long Chen thinks it must hide some amazing secret. When Long Chen continued to turn the ancient book, he found that the whole book had only 2 pages, and the exquisite blood magnolia did not disappear like the first page. It was always on the page. The dragon dust moved in his heart, and a drop of blood essence from the eyebrow center appeared. The dragon dust dropped the blood essence on the exquisite blood magnolia. Buzz, when dragon dust's blood essence touched the exquisite blood magnolia, it seemed to live for a moment, and the petals danced. The world in front of dragon dust turned into a towering palace for a moment. Poof! Before Long Chen could see the changes in front of him, he suddenly saw a sharp blade across the void and blood splashing. A man in white clothes was pierced through his chest by a machete. The man was right next to Long Chen, but he couldn't see Long Chen. His eyes were fixed on the front. His eyes were full of anger and unwilling. He roared hysterically, "Ganluo, how dare you betray Lord Dandy?" Long Chen looked into the distance along the man's eyes. He saw a middle-aged man wearing a golden robe and wrapped in flame, looking at the man coldly. What shocked Long Chen was that his breath was violent and boundless, just like the god of fire. Long Chen looked at him and felt a sharp pain in his soul, as if they were about to be ignited. It was an extremely terrible existence. There was a sneer on his mouth. The Dante has no virtue and can't convince the public. Even Lord Brahma has betrayed. As a disciple of Lord Brahma, how can I not respect the teacher's life? I don't believe it. How could Lord Brahma betray Lord Dante? The man roared. Poor child, I'm too lazy to explain to you. Go at ease. Poof! As the middle-aged man's words fell, the man's machete trembled, and the violent power shook him into powder in an instant. When the powder all over the sky disappeared, Long Chen saw a figure that flashed and disappeared, and Long Chen was surprised. Life hunters, as like as 2 peas, I saw a shadow, but the dust caught a breath. It was the same as the sky. The only difference is that the breath of the figure is deeper and more terrible than the sky. All those who are not Lord Brahma and Lord Luoshani will be killed. The middle-aged man broke his drink. Boom! The whole palace began to vibrate, and the roars, curses and cries were intertwined, but they were covered by the sound of cutting bodies with sharp blades. This was a premeditated massacre. The victims were unprepared at all. Even some people were communicating with their peers, but they were suddenly killed. They didn't know what had happened before they died. Kaka kaka. Long Chen's fists crunched. I don't know why. When those people were killed, he felt it. The sharp blade seemed to stab him. The anger and unwillingness of those people before their death came to him like a tsunami. Long Chen couldn't help roaring up to the sky. You traitors! Dragon Dust's eyes were red with blood. I don't know if it was the awakening of Dante's memory that made him crazy. He stepped on the void, rushed to the middle-aged man and hit him hard. Unfortunately, Long Chen's fist passed through the void and didn't touch anything. The picture in front of him was just a picture, and he was separated from the endless river of time and space. However, after the dragon dust hit, the middle-aged man seemed to be suddenly surprised. He looked around and found no abnormality. He immediately gave orders and gathered everyone together. At this time, the battle was over. Except for the endless bloody gas, all buildings seemed not to be affected. Led by the middle-aged man named Ganluo, these people came to a temple, which is the most towering and magnificent palace in the palace. Ganluo suddenly waved his big hand, and the 4 pillars of light around the temple rose into the sky. Ganluo sealed his hands and then recited the scriptures. Vatican Sutra Volume 6-inch Long Chen quickly suppressed his anger, listened attentively, carefully remembered each syllable, and stared at Ganluo's hand. I see. The syllable change of the 6th volume of the Great Brahman Sutra needs to be adjusted according to the change of the printing method. No wonder I don't feel right no matter how I recite it. When seeing the change of the seal method in Ganluo's hand, Long Chen suddenly realized and finally found the trick. When a section of Brahma Sutra was recited, Long Chen immediately merged and remembered it all. Originally, Long Chen spent countless energy on the study of the Great Brahma Sutra. What he missed was this step. This step became clear and everything became simple. Boom! When Ganluo finished reciting the scriptures, the double-hand seal method changed again. The 4 light columns around the temple quickly intertwined to form a light net, which firmly blocked the temple. Buzz, then, a huge immortal text rushed to the sky and fell on the gate of the temple. The immortal text glowed and turned out to be a huge word, Sanskrit. When the word, Sanskrit, glowed, countless chains burst out, blocking the whole temple. This is the seal of Brahma. Dragon Dust saw through Ganluo's intention at a glance. When the seal was formed, the power of the whole world seemed to be drained in an instant. Boom! Suddenly the picture disappeared, and the skeleton reappeared in front of Long Chen's eyes. Buzz! Suddenly, the ancient book trembled, and the exquisite blood magnolia pattern on the page fell into the palm of Long Chen. The palm of Dragon Dust was printed with exquisite blood magnolia. Then the ancient book began to weathering, and then the skeleton was the same. In front of Dragon Dust, it turned into dust in an instant. Is it Linglong blood magnolia that calls me? Long Chen looked at the pattern in his hand. He felt that it was a special arrangement. Because of the exquisite blood magnolia, he saw the truth of the destruction of the temple. Unfortunately, no one can give the answer to Long Chen. The one who can give the answer to Long Chen is the one who drew the exquisite blood magnolia. Unfortunately, she has disappeared. She left nothing except a memory and a mark. Perhaps what she took away, like those who died, was angry, unwilling, and unbelievable. Long Chen bowed to the dust, turned and walked out of the basement. He had witnessed the original appearance of the temple. Long Chen quickly identified the direction and went straight to the core area. Soon he saw a sacred and magnificent hall, but when Long Chen saw a group of people in front of the temple, Long Chen immediately killed himself. www.milovenival.com, the fastest update of the web novel. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.